Huskers like never before. Tickets for Less is offering an exclusive deal that will have you jumping out of your seat. Use promo code THEZONE and save big on Husker tickets for every game. Whether it's a crucial Big Ten matchup or an exciting out-of-market game, Tickets for Less has you covered. Don't miss any moment of Husker football. Visit ticketsforless.com today. Use promo code THEZONE and secure your seat to see the Huskers this season.
Hey, it's Ashley from Saul's. This holiday, Saul's is the place to stretch your budget and give amazing designer gifts for up to half off retail. We're also
Crossover.
Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover.
It just crossed him over instantly.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
It's crossover time. The boys from the Connor Happer Show are here, powered by Everlevel Concrete. Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com.
That's
Connor
right.
and Josh.
That's right. Hello.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hello.
How we doing?
I can't notice the divide in the room. There's a red shirt and a blue shirt.
That's right. We keep
this,
it straight down the middle on this show.
Was this an actual choice, or did you guys?
No, I just didn't. What is going on with our stream? I just.
I'll get it back. Don't worry, everybody.
I didn't want to wear my stuff that I'm going to wear tonight all day long because then I'd get sweaty and probably spill something on it. There is an office potluck today, and so I imagine
there's a very good chance you're going to spill something.
100%. So I wanted to get something mildly disposable.
I can't help but notice. Are you losing weight?
Wow. I don't think so.
No, I think you look a little trimmer than the last time.
If
fatherhood as soon as you.
If so, it has not been conscious.
Okay, well, you look good.
I did do. Thank you, Jimmy. I did some girl push-ups and some sit-ups the other day. Some crunches.
It's apparently putting in work.
That was the first.
Why was that?
I don't know. I just was bored. I was laying there on the floor next to the baby. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing anything, and she doesn't care what I do, so I'm gonna go ahead and start working it.
It's a very small conversation that I had with Gary this morning. But do you think we could convince him to shave his head?
Gary?
Yeah.
It seems like no.
I don't think so either. I'm gonna try to lean on that.
He seems entrenched. He seems,
I told him I'd shave my head if he shaved his.
That's funny. People keep telling me. So do you bick it?
Yeah, I've just been really lazy, and I tend to look like a homeless person from time to time.
You do though, right?
Yeah, usually.
So people tell me that I need to do that all the time, and
it's a lot of work. Like
that's what I'm saying.
When you have the clippers and you just go over your head,
yeah, that's good enough.
You can't tell the next day.
Good enough for me.
That day works.
I like it.
I have a question for you guys. Speaking of red and blue shirts,
question for you.
What is the weirdest gas station interaction you've ever had?
Because
this morning a gentleman walked out of the gas station across the street wearing a red polo, and I said good morning, and he Didn't say anything back, but his eyes gave me a look that I could tell what he was thinking. It wasn't a very pleasant comment.
This morning,
I don't even think that would
probably
register.
4,
Yeah.
5.
This would have been probably like 5:15.
So you're saying that the
nowhere near
tense-
my top of the list of
That's
gas
what I'm
station
thinking, yeah.
interactions, but it got me thinking because there's been some interesting moments.
So
at
the,
gas
so
stations.
the tenseness is,
yeah,
is high.
the rivalry is real. Either that dude is just having a really bad day. One of the two.
I was walking to the gas station I go to the gas station maybe like once a week in the morning. And there's always the people who are getting ready for a long day of work, like outside, and they get their hot dogs.
Yeah,
They always get their hot dogs.
I always wearing a highlighter colored vest.
A highlight color vest, and they pile those onions on those hot dogs. I'm like, thank God
You can tell that person's
I'm not
talking
hanging
to
out
people
with
that
you.
day.
Exactly. I'm not trying to hang out with you today, but good luck. Have a good lunch.
I walked into the Quick Trip on 60th in L one time, and this lady walked out and screamed to a guy standing behind her, "This is why we're divorced, and I never want to see you again."
That's awesome.
And the door shut, and he goes, "I actually divorced her because she was fat." Like I was a part of the conversation. Like he looked right at me and said it. I was like, "Oh, okay." Well,
Speaking of QTs, have you attempted to go into the Saddle Creek and Leavenworth QT lately?
like 6 months ago.
It's impossible to get there. You can't get there anymore.
Yeah,
Thanks, Med Center.
All the roads are closed, and there's only one way in, and it's going west on Leavenworth.
Will that make
which
gas,
I'm not coming from west on Leavenworth.
Will that make gas cheaper?
I don't know.
Feels like it may because they made it to get rid of some of it, right?
I thought the same. Like they can't be doing very good business during this time because
Sure.
it's impossible to get through. And also, there's another QT like half a mile up the
It
road.
feels like that project has been going on
I know.
forever.
So they can't be. They have to be losing business, and it's probably true. But still, I go in. I found a way. I went all the way around because I was committed to it at this point. I went that way, and I was like, all right, I got to find a way to get in
Did you
here.
need gas?
I got in there. I didn't need gas.
Okay.
I needed a couple things off the roller grill and a Diet
Sure.
Coke.
Oh, you did this today?
Yeah, this is this morning.
Sorry, I didn't say that cup till this time.
And but it's still like still hustling and bustling.
What is your go-to off the roller grill?
They have they started doing breakfast roller grill stuff.
Oh,
now. Yeah,
I did not know.
sausage, egg, and cheese. Little taquito deals.
I have that
pretty
quick trip on like what's that, like 156th and 370. That's right by my podcast studio. Anytime I have the girls with me, we stop and get donuts on the way in. That's
Wait,
usually our
like on the way
go-to.
to Lincoln.
Yeah, I will have to. I live out in Papillion, so between Papillion and Gretna, I have. I'll have to look for set items. I usually stay away from the roller grill, but I'm a big proponent of breakfast.
BA Coach's Show writes in. He says Nebraska sports sweeping this weekend.
Whoa, that would be difficult. That'd be a lot of games. Just
a lot of games.
Yeah,
two against Creighton, two against Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
They will be favored in every game except for the men's basketball game. Correct? Favored against Wisconsin.
They're amazingly not favorites in women's basketball.
Wow.
I looked at the line this morning
Hey,
and I was like, wow.
Think this basketball thing might work out for Britt Prince?
Yeah, she's okay.
She seems to be pretty good at it.
She's okay. So let's, if we set an over under in those 4 games on Nebraska wins, straight up wins, nothing against the spread, straight up wins, where are you putting it? 4 games.
To be fair, it'd have to be 2.5, right?
The most likely winner is probably volleyball, and then maybe women's
At
basketball. And no, it's here.
It's here.
Oh, it's
here.
I'm sorry.
And then maybe women's basketball, and then football, and then men's basketball.
Yeah,
would that be your appropriate ranking?
That seems fair. And
Do you think they could get 2?
I do. I think football wins. We were just talking about this a little bit
ago.
And I think volleyball dominates.
Okay, so you would set it at 2.5.
Yeah, so but that means I'm taking the under because I think I think the women's basketball. Well, man,
see this is what I'm doing.
Obviously, I think the men's basketball team loses. I think the women's basketball team wins.
All right,
I like them to get.
So you're at 3.
I'm taking the over.
You're at 3.
I'll take the over.
It's a tough one. It's a toughie. Stay tuned for our thoughts later on.
Gary asked the majority of our guests today, would you forfeit a Nebraska men's basketball win tonight to guarantee a win tomorrow? And I think 100% of Nebraska fans would say yes, right?
Oh my God.
Is there anybody out there that would say no? Anybody that you know personally?
In a heartbeat, right?
Yeah. I was wondering why you kept asking that question because I figured it was unanimously yes across the board.
There are some like real diehard Nebraska ball people who are like, it's Nebraska ball first. But and they would obviously do anything to beat Creighton. Probably, I don't know. I don't want to put words in their mouths, but
I'll tell you what, that crowd 2 years ago at DJ's Dugout when we were doing the post game show was maybe the best
it was after
men's
a Nebraska
basketball
win.
crowd I've ever seen ever.
It was after a Nebraska win.
Yeah, they were letting us have it up on stage.
I
was really glad.
Oh, what's
we were
that?
there
You guys are the Creighton post game
Yeah.
show. I'd like to tell you something. Have you seen the score? 63-53.
No,
got dominated.
No, they were just walking up and yelling "Creighton sucks" at us for the entire hour of the show.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Surprisingly enough, it was kind of enjoyable. It was like, this is actually pretty funny.
Excited to see how much Red's in the building tonight, if any.
I'm sure there will be enough.
It's always kind of speckled, just like it is in Lincoln when Creighton plays there. There's just little speckles, little patches like there's a group of people. There's 6 people that go to the game, like 6 dudes who are my age, and they always have the one fan and the one guy in their group that's a Creighton fan.
They're blue,
and now you reverse it.
Tom Chattel wondered if the students in Lincoln would try to retaliate for the last 2 visits down to Pinnacle Bank and have some students in the front row of the student section wearing red. And I think it's a bold choice if it happens.
I don't know. But there's always 1 or 2 that make their way in there. There was definitely, like you said, there was that last year in Lincoln.
You think they wear red and blue jerseys now?
I don't know what Creighton's doing. I know
do.
what Nebraska is doing. They're wearing red.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Nebraska women's jerseys?
They're awesome.
Yeah.
They're awesome, but why?
But I don't know why.
Recruiting.
Why do they do anything?
They're wearing cream.
Yeah.
Recruiting.
Well, that's one of the 2 colors.
Does that mean that Creighton's wearing blue at home or powder? I mean, last year when those 2 teams played in Lincoln, Creighton wore powder.
It has to be the dark blues, right? Tonight, if they're gonna go blue jerseys, they have.
I don't know what the women have in their repertoire.
I mean for both teams. I think if they're gonna wear blue, I think they should wear the dark traditional,
like
not the
like
powder.
what you have.
I'm wearing blue
because I think they have a navy that's now in the mix as well.
I was calling the NAIA soccer game last night at Morrison Stadium, and I actually saw one of those jerseys. I think it was the women's jersey that were on the rack. They just had a rack of random clothes because they have that wall in there in the media room.
Yeah. It's in the mix.
Well,
it's in the mix. I don't know what Creighton's going to do.
Both social media accounts have like the blue on blue logo. Like, it's a blue out. I would imagine they're going with the dark blue.
Yeah, they literally tweeted out what color to wear tonight.
Yeah.
Rob Anderson, 402-951-1620. We got questions.
I don't know what they're going to do. Well, I guess it's all a surprise for everybody. A couple texts.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Oh, you go ahead, Josh.
No, I was going to have some NFL news.
Oh,
across the wires.
Oh, go ahead.
Do we need a breaking news drop?
The first ever Thursday night football flex.
Oh, really?
Happened
about a year too late.
Who got flexed out?
Browns Bengals no longer on Thursday. Instead, you will make the Broncos and Chargers play on short rest week 16.
They don't want another Jameis Winston.
I mean, I guess there's more playoff implications there. But Browns Bengals is not bad.
Divisional game.
Yeah, it's not Jags Patriots or whatever the hell they've tried. They haven't had that. That was a London game this year. But
seems odd to make. Hey, you're on short rest now.
I'm with Gary. Gary was saying that he wants Jameis Winston to start a podcast. And I mean the sound bites from that.
Anytime he's ever been on podcasts, it's incredibly enjoyable. He had that bit when he went on the Barstool podcast about how
I forgot about this.
You are if you are from near water, you are different.
Yeah.
You have to understand he was born near water. I'm like, what is he going to say?
What do you say? It makes your blood flow differently or something?
Yeah, it makes you different.
I don't think he, like a lot of people, like he's got to rehearse these pregame speeches. I honestly think
I don't think he knows what he's saying.
I think he just pushes play. Whatever comes out of his mouth is equally as surprising to him as it is the person talking to him.
I liked his enjoyment of snow last night was quite the thing to follow.
I believe there was a stat that was the coldest game he's ever played in as well.
I think he said something along the lines that he's never played in a snow game. There are some people that are playing in the NFL, they're 28, 30 years old, and they're like, I've never seen snow before.
Responded better than Mac Jones did to the cold weather. I'll say that.
Mac Jones might not have been in a good place in the first place.
Yeah, I will never. That meme will live rent free in my head for the rest of my life. Him like seeing his breath for the first time. Yeah, clearly mind blown.
Okay, so I got a message here that, and I've seen this a little bit around around the Twitter sphere this week that speaking of Nebraska and Creighton wearing color uniforms, Nebraska and Iowa, when they play football, should both teams wear their home uniform.
I don't hate that. I think that's
black versus red.
I think it makes it feel more important when
they have different colored hats, helmets.
It's a nice contrast of color class,
and it would work all the time, right? It would be good. I think I could support that. I think I could get on board with that. That's quite the clash. I like that.
My hot take for rivalry games for Nebraska football, I think they got to find a way going forward to make the Nebraska-Wisconsin game happen every year. I think that's something that I think this fan base needs, and it feels like it's a true rivalry too, despite the way the scoreboard has looked in some of these games.
Yeah, I don't know. I certainly appreciate playing Wisconsin every year, but as far as like the rivalry front, I don't know. It's just not. I mean, it doesn't quite.
It feels like everybody cares about this game more than they care about Minnesota, or more than they care about Northwestern or any of the other Big Ten West games. It feels like those are the top two.
Yeah, but the Nebraska has one permanent rival, and it's Iowa. So you have to match it up with that.
Yeah, but it's not like there are teams in the Big Ten that they gave more than one permanent rivalry.
Totally, Iowa has 3.
Yeah, and I think Nebraska and Wisconsin should be one of those built-in games.
Yeah, I mean, that would just support the argument that we need to
go back to divisions. Yeah, which that's coming sooner rather than later, right?
Yeah, but I don't feel that this is like some sort of heated, like even with the fans, like with Creighton and Nebraska, it's the fans, right? We intermingle amongst each other, we barb each other. Nebraska and Iowa, same thing. We like there's a whole bunch of Nebraska fans in Iowa. There's a whole bunch of Iowa fans here. Like that's a rivalry. Nebraska and Wisconsin, I don't know. They sort of live in separate universes, separate worlds.
Do you feel like that's just because Nebraska has been less successful than Wisconsin since joining the conference? That's got to have a little bit to do with it, right?
I mean, definitely. Nebraska has lost 10 games in a row, famously, in this rivalry. So I don't know. They play for a trophy. That's
speaking of which, Tom Chattel brought up that he thought Nebraska and Creighton should play for a trophy. There should be a trophy for the basketball game tonight.
What would it be?
I threw out the idea that they should get the coloring rights to the Woodman Tower. That if Nebraska were to win, they light the tower up red. If Creighton were to win, they would keep it blue.
Ooh.
That's a pretty big trophy.
That's interesting.
So
does
But I think you'd have to find a building Creighton, in Lincoln.
If Creighton wins, do they get the capital?
There you go. I think that
the big penis.
One of us was going to say it. I think they should have to trade the buildings. Either light up the Capitol red or light up the Woodman Tower.
I don't know. They do. They do. Like I think the Woodman will be probably.
They light it up blue for every home game.
But now it's Nebraska. Will they do red and blue? Or will it just be blue? They'll I don't know.
Maybe they'll do one half of the building one color and the other half.
I have to talk to Woodman Tower PR.
The western side of the building we read. The eastern.
What about the new building? The not yet built building. The almost halfway built building. You just get to call it whatever you want.
Do we have a beef to pick with First National Bank since they sponsor both? That they don't choose the side.
That's right. No, I don't have beef with that.
Maybe
J-Skers probably are like, hell yeah.
Maybe
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, maybe that's the building that you need to put the lights on. All right, well, you got to pick a side. Whoever wins gets the tower for the year.
I like this. That's high stakes.
Okay. All right.
It's very visible. Everybody will know where your allegiance is.
All right, couple texts here. Happer's meme guy.
Hi, Happer's meme guy.
Says the football season is old yeller. It needs to be taken out behind the barn and put out of its misery.
No.
They lose on Saturday. There's going to be a lot of people that feel that way.
What? You guys are done with football already?
Somebody famously said basketball is better than football in the station.
That's true.
People forget.
That's true. Somebody did say that. I love basketball. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. Rest got to find a way to get to 6. You don't need to kill it yet.
There are a lot of people after the USC game that are just so doom and gloom that
people are definitely exhausted.
It's called adversity.
Also, Jeff writes in,
Hi, Jeff.
What's the excuse that Kalkbrenner has if they lose tonight?
Because Ryan Kalkbrenner is known for making excuses. That doesn't seem like a thing that's ever happened.
What's the excuse from Creighton fans about Kalkbrenner if Creighton loses tonight? I think that's more of the question.
If Creighton loses tonight, it will have nothing to do with Ryan Kalkbrenner.
What will it be?
It'll be Bryce Williams being able to be probably the best, most athletic player on the court at the time and winning from outside the paint.
Well, I think Nebraska fans
I think you should say he's got mono.
They should be careful about, you lost because you have mono, because Saturday night,
tonight.
Sunday morning, you might be saying, well, Nebraska lost because they had the flu.
Yeah, that's also a cause for concern today.
Well, there's also the fire alarm fiasco as well.
Nebraska ball lost because the fire alarm went off. They didn't get any sleep before St. Mary's. 20-year-olds famously need lots of sleep.
Yeah, this seems like there's one program that's got excuses right now.
Kyle says, I can tell you from a Wisconsin perspective, I'm the only Badger fan that even cares about this game.
That's a great point.
I only care about it because I live in Omaha.
Yeah, they can't possibly think anything.
I just don't. I don't feel that. I don't feel that rivalry really.
Have you ever been up to Madison for a game?
I have twice.
You could feel it there. I mean, it kind of felt like they did not want us in that town. They were not okay with the way they traveled.
But that's just their disposition, right? They just hate.
Everybody from Wisconsin's a bad person.
That's
a good take.
They're just haters. I love that. I think
haters. That is
think
true.
there's something to be learned from that. You know, there's a certain intensity when you walk in there.
I
think that's directed at everybody who.
I feel like Jared Abadaris is like a perfect example of just what Wisconsin is.
Jared
as a
Abadaris.
population.
I went to the game in 2011, the first one.
So did I.
And I went to the game in 2016, which was the overtime game.
We were going to go to that
one of the overtime
and we had a death in the family, so we didn't make that. But
sorry about that.
Thanks, that's all right. Do you have a favorite road trip that you've ever been on for a Nebraska game?
I haven't been to many.
Have you ever been to the Big House?
I have not been to the Big House.
We went to the very first Michigan game, and I think that was probably my favorite of any that we lost, which didn't make it that enjoyable. But
got smashed.
Yeah, I think that was probably my best experience from like a fan interaction.
I hate Michigan fans.
I was really. I don't know if we just got lucky because I'm kind of there with you, but we were in a section with a bunch of people that were just really grateful that we were there and talked to us about history and glad that we're in the Big Ten, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, it's so great that you're here.
This guy shoved me really hard in the back, and I thought he was starting to fight, and I turned around. He wanted to ask me when Neil Diamond became popular because they were playing Sweet Caroline, and he was a very older gentleman. He's like, this guy was popular as I was high school, and we hated him then. When did this happen? Was like mad at my generation that we let it happen.
Well,
right,
I handshake meme with that guy.
Understandably so. I got where he was coming from.
I actually like Neil Diamond, but I think he's made a horrible song that is a scourge on society. But I don't think that's his fault. I think that's the Boston Red Sox fault and the bossification of America.
I believe that's what the gentleman was trying to get across to me. Like, why did your generation allow this to happen?
I don't know.
I was there with you. Sir.
Ask the Southeast.
Yeah, sir, I was there with you.
Ask Baylor Shireman and his boys over there. Up there.
He looks like he's lived there his whole life.
That's very weird.
Ask Doug McCrae. Ask Jim. You know? They know what's going on.
Like you give a crap about showing.
Talked to Stephen Ashworth the other day, and he said that he has not let Baylor slide on the tattoos either. He goes, we had questions as well.
It's quite the chameleon. He can look however he needs to look.
Stephen Ashworth probably said, "Sit down, young fella. Let me talk to you."
Like if he went and played for like the Warriors or something, or the Blazers or something like that. He'd start growing out his hair and looking like a hippie.
The Jazz would have made him wear sleeves.
Yeah. He's just Joe Ingles.
Yeah.
People have made that. I mean, that comp is actually pretty good, to be honest with you. Jeff writes in, Jimmy.
Hi, Jeff.
He says, Jimmy, did that college football video game ever come out?
Oh, no. Receipts last on the internet for
Did it?
It did, and I bought it, by the way.
Okay.
Because I finally gave in.
All right.
I've only played one half of it. I just don't have time to play video games. I don't know how people have time for these things.
Yeah. You prioritize what you prioritize. Unfortunately, I have prioritized some video games.
Sure. What year is your dynasty in?
So I got a couple different things going right now.
A couple irons in the fire.
Yeah.
Who's the go-to group of five school you start your dynasty with?
I started one with Eastern Michigan.
Gray Field.
I stayed there for a couple of years, and then I went to Purdue.
Gross.
I won a couple national championships, won a couple
Congrats
Heismans.
on the success.
Thank you. Now we're back. We started over, and I'm at BYU.
How's your
Trendy
NIL
pick.
war chest?
I'm at BYU. It's not great. Recruiting is difficult.
The enrollment in that school is very cheap. I don't understand why you're having those issues. At BYU?
BYU?
Yeah.
Have you told the kids that?
Yeah, so
I'm not having issues. It's the first year.
if you need somebody to take over your NIL collective, and
Recruiting
my services are available.
is difficult.
I don't know if you know this. You famously don't have to be a Mormon to go there.
That's right.
People forget.
I'm glad that game came out, though. Glad you were wrong about that one, Jimmy.
And again, it wasn't that I didn't think that it was an impossibility. I just thought there was going to be too many legal ramifications behind it that it may scare them off. It's kind of surprised. I'm still surprised it didn't.
Look, my guy went on a limb. Okay.
It kind of feels like that's what
You're
happened
supporting this. You're supporting this take, Josh.
I support people saying things on this radio station. Yes. Yes.
I do this for you and you only.
Clearly
Josh.
memorable things
Yeah.
on this radio station.
I have never said anything of memorable note that people still give me grief about to this day.
Here's Venmo Chris.
Hi, Venmo Chris.
Good morning, friends.
Good morning.
Bleep Creighton, garbage
Love Creighton
fans, and garbage colors. I hope every Creighton fan stubs their toe today and the tree man gets chopped down.
Oh my gosh.
The fact that the tree man thing is just still living, Josh, is a coup to you and your talents on this radio station.
Yeah, Josh, you did the tree man thing.
I did that?
Yeah, 100%.
Did I really?
Yes.
No.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me give him credit.
Like, wait,
I was trying to make him feel good about himself.
did I
Connor.
come up with it?
Josh doesn't need to feel extra good about himself.
No,
He
I
already
am
feels
Groot.
great about himself.
I have good self-confidence.
when he tweeted that he was coming back and you tweeted out today, we are all Groot. I actually spit my drink out laughing. So that was another good one.
Tree man. Let's see. From the 402, I take a Husker basketball win and a football loss tomorrow. Stick it to the J-Skers twice.
That has been the one common theme. Is that everybody is like, I would be okay with it just to shut up Creighton fans. I feel like that's the side of the group that doesn't talk the most.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't know.
There's a lot of chirping. That's what we need. That's what makes it a rivalry. Right?
People hit it from all different angles.
All right, boys, I'm gonna get out of here. I'll let you get.
Yeah. You gotta go. You got a busy.
You'll
day.
get plenty more
I
Jimmy
do.
Allen on this radio.
Yeah,
station.
6 o'clock. We'll see you then, baby.
6 o'clock. The in between show. The after women's game, pre men's game.
Yeah, if Josh Peterson can wrap up his post game,
and then the post Creighton game is yours as well.
live from the chair,
It's the
Live from the
Woodhouse
chat.
Cadillac Blue Jay overtime show.
and the Woodhouse
Excellent.
Cadillac Blue Jay shoot around show.
That's right.
Excellent. All right, that's Crossover, powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. It's Friday. We'll start things off next.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
All right, welcome in. Happy Friday. It's the Connor Happer Show. You're on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Odson with you. Hello.
How we doing?
We had to balance each other out today.
That's right.
If you're with us on the YouTube, Josh is in blue. See, I went with a very neutral shirt, even though it is red. All my homies hate Wisconsin. We can all agree, right?
That's right.
Don't all of our homies today hate Wisconsin?
Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, whether you're all blue, all red, you definitely hate Wisconsin.
Exactly. So we can all get behind that tomorrow. We'll talk plenty about Huskers and Badgers from Lincoln tomorrow. We might even talk about Huskers and Badgers X2 from Lincoln tomorrow. Huskers and Jays X2 from Omaha this afternoon and evening. You can find Nebraska-Creighton on the women's side from DJ Sokol Arena right here starting at 3:45 with Josh Peterson and Rob Sims. That will take you up to about 6 o'clock where Jimmy Allen will take over for a little while until we get you out to the CHI Health Center with John and
Careful.
To the notes.
Careful.
To the notes.
Careful.
Tyler Clement.
Of course.
Tyler Clement back at it.
T-Dog.
Tonight with John. Coverage on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg starts at 6:30 for a 7 o'clock tip-off. Did I get it all? Blue Jay overtime after that?
That's right. That's right. Big day. Thanks to On the Line and College of St. Mary's for powering today's Rivalry Day broadcast.
On the line.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they say in that, what's that movie with Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn?
You'll have to be more specific.
That's true.
Wedding Crashers?
No.
The
less popular.
The
intern. The intern.
I was going to say the assistant.
The
I'm
internship, maybe? They go to work at Google and the whole bit is like they're old.
Not a bad movie.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it quite a bit. But Vince Vaughn keeps saying on the line instead of online. On the line.
That's right. The internship.
The internship.
Streaming on Hulu.
What did that get rated on IMDb, Josh? Or
6.3 out of 10 on IMDb, 34% on Rotten Tomatoes.
All right. 34 is a little low, I think.
Oh my gosh, it came out on my birthday in 2013.
Wow. Who's the Owen Wilson love interest in that movie? What's her name? Rose Byrne, right?
Yes.
That's a good movie.
I don't mind it.
That's how we start the show today. That's a good movie. Josh learns more and more about the movies that I've seen in my movie taste every single day.
If it's a comedy, you're usually aware of it at least.
You got it. You got it. Jeff writes in, how dumb is it that the women's game isn't on TV? Well, it is. It's on Flow Sports with Josh Peterson and Rob Sims. That's TV. It's not. Can you not TV zap adjacent? Anything from your phone to your television these days? You can. Hell, we're on TV, Josh. We're on TV.
We have been on people's
Zone TV .live, and then you can just zap that thing up to your TV, whatever, however you want to do it. So you could be on TV anytime you want these days. You can put yourself on TV. All right. Today on the show, we'll have our regular lineup of guests: Bryan Munson, Bryan Christopherson, Stephen M. Sipple. We'll talk about recruiting with Munson, the game with the football game with both of BC and Sipple. Of course, we will dive into our weekly history lesson. Today, we flash back to 1901.
That's a long time ago.
This is, I think this is the oldest, the first chronological meeting between any two opponents this year on Nebraska's schedule.
Ooh,
1901. These two teams played each other for the very first time. Then they met for a home and home in the 60s, a home and home in the 70s, and then back again when they played each other almost every year since being in the Big Ten. Almost every year, because one was in the Legends and one was in the Leaders Nebraska was in the legends. Wisconsin was in the leaders.
How quickly we forget.
They played each other as like a crossover game in 2011 and in 2012. Did not, and ended up playing each other twice in 2012. Of course, the Big Ten championship game. Didn't play each other in 2013. Back again, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, no 20. Shout out COVID. That game was on the schedule, of course. And every year since. Nebraska 4-13 all time against the Badgers. We'll have a history lesson today coming up at noon. And you know what? Oh. What's this?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Connor, but this is a big one out of the NFL.
What is it?
The New York Giants have released Daniel Jones, a.k.a. Danny Dimes.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
That's an expensive release.
The way he was talking, I saw some of his press conferences over the last couple of days, and he was like, yeah, it was good to be here. Thanks.
It definitely felt like
he was like, I'm done.
Which it definitely was, but he asked, they delivered.
I've seen Giants fans react like in a very rational way to this. It was very odd to see that over the last couple of days. They were like, yeah, Danny, Mr. Dimes, we loved him. He was our guy. And he couldn't make it happen, or the people around him couldn't make it happen. Obviously, the organization hasn't done him any favors, aka letting Saquon Barkley walk. That probably has not been very helpful.
It would kill me if he went to Philly. Well,
you're dead. Congratulations. But they were like, yeah, I guess it's just one of those things that's kind of over. I'm like, wow, that's very mature. And so, did you hear any of what Drew Lock has said this week, by the way? He seems very confused.
I would be confused if I was Drew Lock.
So the theory is that
okay, I love the theory.
They're tanking and they're playing the worst quarterback they can play.
Tommy DeVito?
Yeah.
Tommy Cutlets?
Yeah. Now, that's probably if you're looking at it through a Drew Lock pilled lens.
Imagine that life.
That's what Drew Lock seemed to intimate. He was like, yeah, it's just an interesting situation. Kind of one of those things. Weird. Yep, there you go. Daniel Jones era is officially over. Who needs a backup quarterback next year? Anybody interested?
I don't know. He will be available on waivers because of his contract. It is believed he will clear waivers and become a free agent.
Yes,
because
he will most certainly.
Yeah.
I will. One of the
potential landing spot.
One of
short list.
No, one of the most memorable draft moments I can really ever recall. And I'm not a huge draft guy.
You are not.
I'm not a huge draft guy.
Love
but I watch
that about you.
I watch a first round every year. It's generally good television. But there had been rumors all that week that they really, really liked Daniel Jones and maybe a sense that they were going to take him. But when that pick came up at number 6 in 2019, and they did it, everyone was like, "Oh my God! How did you? Why did you do that?"
And then they fell into that spot where he was kind of mid, and then they gave him a bunch of money, and I was like, "Oh, that's not the right decision."
The quarterbacks in the 2019 draft.
This should be good.
So Kyler went number 1.
Sure.
Danny Dimes went number 6. Dwayne Haskins went number 15. Coincidentally, Drew Lock went number 42. Will Greer, number 100. Ryan Finley, 104. Jarrett Stidham, 133. Easton Stick, 166. Clayton Thorson, 167. Gardner Minshew, 168. Trace McSorley, 197.
What an absolute ass class of quarterbacks.
That's an ass class, Josh. So looking back, it's like, oh wow, we maybe didn't do so bad. I thought that was going to be a lot worse at the time.
You needed a quarterback. You took a swing.
You weren't going to get Kyler,
and
you're like, all right, whatever. We need a quarterback. Here's our guy, Daniel Jones.
You needed a quarterback. Here's a quarterback.
The era is over now in New York. Okay, that's breaking news. We will also have a mild Creighton, Nebraska history lesson coming up here in just a couple minutes. Considering we're picking them both today. We're going to pick the women's game as well. We're loaded up in keys and peas today. So in our pick segment, you will learn why. And as the executive director of the pick segment, Josh, I will tell you that last week did not go well at all for me. And I mean at all. There were 0 moments of brightness for me. And so I've taken a dive over the last couple weeks.
Oh no.
So I need more games. I need more games to come back. So we're going to be picking not 5, not 6, but 7 games.
7.
I need more games. I'm manipulating the system to for me to have more games.
I'll jump through whatever hoops you need me to jump through to win this thing for a second straight year.
Creighton men, Creighton women. We're going to have them both on the show. And then, of course, Nebraska and Wisconsin, and our other games of the week in college football, which includes, of course, Indiana and Ohio State Buckeyes. Touchdown Buckeyes. And Gus might be a little bit more excited this week. Might start working it. We'll see.
You got the convergence of game day and big noon kickoff in the same place again.
We got BYU, Arizona State this week. A lot on the line in the Big 12. We got Colorado, Kansas this week from Arrowhead. That's a big game. And we got live from Yankee Stadium tomorrow night, Army and Notre Dame. Those are games of the week in college football. Not much going on in the SEC. The SEC game of the week this week is Alabama and Oklahoma.
Oof.
Yeah. Yuck.
Wow, America's best conference, really?
Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
Seems far from the truth.
Well, there's still some garbage games to play left for the SEC teams, I believe. So
who's Mercer got this week?
Yeah, you got to get those in. So keys and peas coming up at the 1 o'clock hour. We're loaded here on a Friday, and as always, we'd love to hear from you guys. 402-951-1620 on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at Happer Show. At Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor or Josh Show at 1620thezone.com. On the Equitable Bank Zone inbox, we say good morning to the YouTube streamers today. What's up, brother?
Can we get some basketballs in the chat?
Oh, you want to push that basketball button.
Today's the day.
All right. He's ready to push that basketball button. You can find us on zonetv.live or YouTube 1620 The Zone TV. We encourage you to watch us during the show. You can see our faces when our guests come on and say questionable things.
Watch me eat a turkey dinner today during the corporate potluck as Connor conducts an interview.
There you go. Maybe there'll be popcorn today. We'll see. You would have been able to see our faces when that one guy from USC came on last week, and I was like, what is going on here?
I think this interview is taking a turn.
We are rolling here on a Friday, back with a little Creighton, Nebraska talk. 7 o'clock tonight at the Chai. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Connor Happer, Josh Odson with you here on a Friday. Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Excited tonight on Jay's Live at the Chai or on Twitter at BlueJayMBB to bring you a little bit of a history lesson. It's kind of this segment.
Ooh.
Over again. We'll have a bit of a flashback tonight to the first meeting between Creighton and Nebraska in basketball on the basket space ball court floor. That would be early March of 1923.
1923. That's a while ago.
Yeah. So on the top of the sports page of the Omaha Bee, on Monday, March 5th, 1923.
The Omaha Bee.
It didn't say like sports at the top.
Oh.
On the little header there, it said bowling, wrestling, boxing, basketball. Those were the sports.
Okay. Sure.
Some other examples of some things that were on the sports page that day. Record number of thoroughbreds entered for annual Kentucky Derby. 11th hour hitch develops in arrangements for Q match. Billiards.
Oh, okay.
Billiards. State amateur walking champion will take his hike across country. Lincoln High beats Packers.
Wow, the Green Bay Packers really sucked in 1923.
I think that would be the South Packers.
Oh.
Caliber of American Olympic team to be settled in meet. Penn Tracksters win indoor meet. Let's see. Anything else? Then there was a whole bunch of stuff on Nebraska and Creighton. A game that Creighton ended up winning 46-24. We'll highlight some things. That was the first time that these two met each other. There was a dispute, not a dispute. There was just like if you looked at each of the media guides prior to this year, they had like different records as to what.
I remember that. Yes.
That is no longer the case.
Oh, we've agreed?
I don't know which side they agreed on. I'll have to talk to Rob and Jameis about that tonight.
That is very interesting.
But it appears as if there has been an agreement that Creighton all-time leads the series 30-27. And that it is the same. It looks the same in Nebraska's notes as well. So I'll have to talk to those guys about what happened.
So somebody reached their hand across the aisle.
They said, well, let's meet you halfway here. Let's talk about it. Decades of dominance for each teams have happened in this series. Nebraska won 15 out of 18 from 1981 to 1997. And of course, Creighton is kind of currently in their decade of dominance in the rivalry. Creighton has won 11 out of 13 dating back to 2011. And then there was a good stretch for really kind of each team in between. Like I said, they went back and forth for a couple years in the mid to late 80s, but really that was during Nebraska's huge run. Of course, these two teams played each other every year starting in 1923. They played each other 23, 24, 25, 26, and then again in 26. Didn't play again until 19. By the way, the second game in 1926, Creighton won it 15-11 in basketball.
Wow.
Awesome.
They just don't play defense like that anymore.
No, they don't. You could easily see those scores these days. It's just, they don't make them the same anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They played twice in 1932 in the span of 4 days.
Oh, what if they did like a best of 3?
Yeah. And Creighton won both of those games. And then they didn't play each other for more than 40 years.
Wow. Cowardice.
There was like a state school, public school thing. It got put off. They didn't restart this game until early December of 1977. Nebraska won the first game in the resumption of the rivalry. and they have played at least once every year since. They've been a couple times in the NIT, 84, and what year was that? 2004, 1984, 2004. And yeah, that's what we were talking about the other day. It's like, oh, well, it's 2024. Might they meet in the NIT again this year? But if they play each other in the NIT, it'd be 2025. So there you go. Missed the window already.
No tournament in 2020.
No tournament in 2020. So you take a tournament out. Oh, maybe. I don't know. You got an argument there. So here's your history lesson. There's also an extensive history, of course, between Greg McDermott and Fred Hoiberg. Of course, Mac was the coach at Iowa State. Fred Hoiberg was the coach at Iowa State. Hoiberg had much more success at Iowa State than Mac did. So there's and then there's players from all parts of the state on each of the rosters. Although, does Nebraska have a look? Well, they have Cale Jacobson, I guess. Creighton has, of course, Jason Green and Isaac Trout.
Jason Green.
Am I missing anybody on the local flair on the rosters? Of course, last year there was Baylor Shireman, and he made his presence known in the game quite a bit. Creighton, by the way, 18-5 in its last 23 games against teams from the Big Ten. That game last year in the NCAA tournament against Oregon does not count because they were not in the Big Ten.
5 Nebraska boys on the Nebraska ball roster.
Oh,
right
crap. I'm sorry. Tell me their names.
Sam Hoiberg.
Okay, that makes sense.
Braden Frager. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been right for the record.
Like it's Southwest.
Justin Bolus.
Yeah, he's a walk-on.
Okay. Cale Jacobson, you got that one. And Henry Burt.
Another walk-on.
He's 6'7".
All right. Like tall people, Josh.
Yeah.
It's good. Is that enough for your history lesson?
I feel like I learned a lot.
You did?
Yeah.
That's good. Should be another fun installment.
We try to inform and entertain on the Connor Happer Show.
Creighton is 10.5-point favorites officially tonight. And I've said all week that this game, I think, will be competitive. We'll see how long. We'll see how competitive. We'll see if Creighton is able to hit one of their patented avalanches. We'll see if that happens at all tonight. Nebraska, pretty physical and stout on defense, So these are things that we'll be tracking. We'll talk about the matchup as we go on throughout the show today. Let's have a chat with our dear friend Bryan Munson of Husker Online. Recruiting notes abound as we get ever closer to National Signing Day coming up here in just a couple of weeks. We'll be back after this, the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Bryan Munson.
Hey, long call. Comfy left zoom buster. 63 bang. Z Maui. Alert. Paradise Z Burger Y Wrap on one.
Husker Online on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, Saxon Recruiting. We are joined now on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline by our good friend, Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com. Munson, good morning. Happy Friday. How are you?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So I hear you haven't quite caught the cold snap that we have up here. It's true.
You know, I was just talking about that offline. I was up in Kearney last weekend for senior day out at UNK, and it was gorgeous. And I think that I was just checking the forecast. I think the next day maybe snow was in the forecast for you guys, or that it was going to hit that part of the state anyway. I don't think it was going to go that far east. But the temperatures were definitely turning, and we drove into some rain. And then I was mentioning it got cold, chilly-ish down here. Don't want anybody to feel sorry for me. It's in the low 60s today. But it was I'm telling you.
Hey, no, I'm not real. Like, I can't complain yet. I'm not to the point where I'm bothered by the cold yet. You know, it is definitely a nuisance and it's a shock, but I'm not like, oh, wow, we live in the frozen tundra yet. Like, we're not there yet.
No, I'm telling you, man, there's, it's gotten cold here, chillier here, but, we enjoyed our time up there, man, like we always do. So very, there's a lot of discussion on this side over here about moving back up there, going back home in a few years. So that'd be very interesting. I'd love to get in the studio with you a few more times.
All right, Munson. So recruiting stuff for this week. It's the final weekend for game visits for Nebraska. What do we have that's sort of been bubbling this week? Obviously, there's still some things that were out there coming off of the bye week, that the work that Nebraska put in. What are we looking at heading into this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, good group. I mean, but then again, this has been kind of the commonplace, with Matt Rule and his staff. I mean, we got about 50 visitors are going to be in there. Key 2025 flip target, Aiden Manate, the Cal commitment to the safety that all of a sudden automatically has kind of appeared, after officially visiting Nebraska in June. He is flying to Lincoln this weekend on his own dime. I mean, I think that's a very good sign for the Huskers, obviously, that, that they have another guy like him basically out there that they can go ahead and get. I mean, there's no Chase Lofton. There's no Michael Terry III. There's no Cortez Mills. Those are all still names that we're still talking about, like in the flip area. But Aiden will be there in Lincoln today. Some notable targets. I mean, obviously there's a ton of commitments, and it's great to see, like, Houston Torres will be there from Hawaii. Dawson Merritt's first time in Lincoln as a future Husker, which is big. Mm-hmm. Bear Tenney, who has been subject of several questions about what's going on with him this season, and I kind of given the scoop on him a little bit in tunnel talk about what's going on. But good to see some of these guys kind of get back. But getting back to, like, the notable targets, I think I tried to draw this out a little bit. There's two areas. The first one is the 2026 guys that are obviously key recruits for Nebraska, when it comes to, like, J.J. Dunnigan, Hunter Higgins, Brett Kolajay. I'm trying to think it here, but there's another one or two. Kason Thomas, I would have forgot him too, from Sioux City. Those guys are all coming back for their second, if not more, visits this year. A lot of those guys have been there multiple times this fall. So I think that I'm really excited about how things, and Jace Reynolds too. I forgot the Elkhorn North linebacker, but I think that people here need to realize that things are setting up really, really nicely for the 2026 class. And then you have a pair of 2027 quarterbacks that are going to also be in town this weekend too. You have Trey Taylor, who visited in October and picked up the offer from Nebraska at that point, and Jamison Purcell, who was at camp this summer in June and picked up his offer then. And those are some really big name, quarterbacks that are there. So some really nice looking players from Georgia, players from Florida, Tennessee. Here's one here I don't want to miss. Chaz Smith. big time 4-star cornerback, as well as Jarvis Strickland, another 4-star offensive tackle, both from Tennessee. Neither of them have an offer from Nebraska yet. Have to think, though, that the Huskers extend offers to both those guys.
It's flip season. It's still flip season. I don't know how I guess flip season goes all the way to the end, right? It just goes all the way up to the last day before signing day or on signing day.
Well, and I kind of mentioned that about Cortez Mills.
That's what I was going to ask you about.
If things are really going to be, serious with Cortez Mills, nothing's going to happen there in that space until the week of. I think people, wanted to see Terry and Chaz, in Lincoln this weekend. They've been there twice. They've flown it on their own dime in September. They were there for an official visit for the spring game. They've seen games in Lincoln, and they've continued to be recruited, not just by the Nebraska staff or the Nebraska players, but peer recruited by other players in the class. So I think that part's, kind of a foregone conclusion in that respect. If it's just kind of get up there and spend some more time and have an enjoyable weekend, I get it, but they understand what Nebraska is all about. And I think that recruiting attention is paying off for Matt Rule and his staff. But I don't think Terry may be one person that might commit a week or more, ahead of signing day. And then again, he may just decide to do the whole thing, at the school on signing day. But Mills, because of, I think, how things are with him and his recruitment, meaning that he has, the extra kind of layer with the NIL agent and stuff like that, like kind of in that spot with him. I don't foresee anything happening there with him. If it does change from Oklahoma to anywhere else, it won't happen until that week of signing day.
Is Nebraska in an okay position as far as I don't know. I feel like every week this is sort of like a catch up thing on the numbers, but it was interesting to hear Matt Rule talk about, what changes are coming down the line here this week. And, Nebraska's, I don't think they're going to, let anybody loose from this class, or at least they won't cut it that way, but there will be some significant changes to Nebraska's roster depending on where that number ends up. Like, I guess, how would you evaluate that right now before signing day when it looks like nearly the whole class is in the boat?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because you and I think we've talked about it since, at least since the summertime, maybe the first set of official visits, like how big we thought the class was going to kind of get to. I think we, maybe to 20 was a number. Now we're talking, might touch 23, 24, right? Like that's probably the number. So it's gone up. Gone up a little bit from where we thought it was going to hit, and that puts some additional pressure on what you're talking about, right? So you're now facing this hard limit to the quantity or the amount of players you can have on your roster, and Nebraska has had to go back, basically to their commitment list, and essentially, kind of just sit there and see how the people that they're adding in the class will join the room and where they kind of would sit at, I think, immediately kind of walking into it. And that's where I think I think they've been assessing this as a possibility since the summer. I mean, I think you could have gotten all willy-nilly here. You could have gone all crazy and decided, I mean, we haven't talked about a single walk-on yet.
Nah,
we haven't.
Yeah.
And that to me, I think is evidence enough that Nebraska at least has been seeing this. I think there's a player in Nebraska still that the Huskers would love to try to find a way to get him in. It's Ike Ackerman. The dude has blown up basically since he decommitted from Northwest Missouri. He is going to get that P4 offer. And I think the Huskers really wish there was a way right now to kind of find a spot to get him in there. He's such a great athlete. So yeah, I think it's been affecting, I think, Nebraska going all the way back to June into summer camps. There was no walk-on stuff. When we talked about the visitor list, there's been very few players that have shown up that basically were, kind of like obligated, maybe kind of local-ish players that didn't have like other offers already. Like almost all the guys that are coming in this weekend have some sort of Division I offer already in hand. So everything has kind of changed already to kind of reflect that Nebraska's been operating with that fund.
So one of the through lines that I've sort of heard about this staff and in our conversations, the way that they recruit, it's the word organization. Like you have to, I feel like Munson, that is going to serve them really well in this, where you want to have you have to have a plan. You have to have an idea of what you want to do, but you're also kind of flying by the seat of your pants because you don't know exactly how it's going to shake out. Like however it does, do you feel like Nebraska is positioned well just because of the way that they approach their business?
Yes, there's some controlled chaos here, and I think the control is the key word, because before it's just seemed like spaghetti on the wall, and I think here there's always been kind of, well, this could change, and we don't necessarily understand all of this, but we still feel good about this, and we may have to make an adjustment here, or tweak this, or whatever, but we'll find a way to kind of get around that, and I feel like that's some of the planning, and I think the long-term view that hasn't been there at Nebraska with that organizational kind of just how they're handling their business there in Lincoln. I don't think that's been there in Lincoln for a while. And I think that's a huge credit to Vince Ginta, to Keith Williams, those guys right there. I think that they have this thing under control, and they foresee the things coming down the pipe, and they also know what they're trying to get done, basically in all the rooms on the team. Yeah.
Yeah. With that being said, people aren't going to be excited unless, well, I shouldn't say that, but it would definitely, there's always going to be excitement, but
less excited, maybe tapered.
Taper
that enthusiasm.
That if you get a couple guys to flip and go your way who are high profile at the end, it always makes you feel a little bit better. So there's the quality of player that you're getting, and then there's also the timing of it as well.
Buddy, look at what's going on around the college football recruiting landscape right now.
Yeah.
Like with what's going on at Michigan.
Bryce Underwood.
Or Florida State. Yeah, Florida State flipping the Oklahoma quarterback commitment this morning. All the other things that could be in store for Michigan based on Underwood. But what about Julian flipping over to Colorado?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got some massive kind of flippings that are going to bring with it additional. But guess what? Nebraska's got that going with Dawson Merritt, and how he's also foreshadowed he will not be the last. And you can kind of put, I think, a couple names, associated to that. We can add a couple more, to it. You get the class of 24, I think, as a max, and maybe it doesn't get quite all the way there. But I think that's kind of what we're talking about. Nebraska doesn't need that 5-star quarterback this year because they got it last year.
Yeah. Just big picture before we let you go. I mean, that Bryce Underwood story is
wild. totally wild, dude. I cannot believe the numbers in which they're talking about with the NIL money. I can't believe the involvement, with Dave Portnoy, with Barstool Sports.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you just sit there and shake your head, but then also want to go shower in Purell all at the same time. It just feels still a little dirty to me to kind of have stories go that way with high school players.
And his offensive coordinator is Connor Stallions, correct?
So that's the other side. I can't remember who put 2 and 2 together on that one. I don't know if it was Hayes or somebody else on 3, but they posted a picture about how Connor Stallions was the offensive coordinator for Underwood's high school. And obviously the relationship that's there between Connor and Michigan. Oh my goodness.
Crazy.
Good luck NCAA to get to the bottom of that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if there is
a Netflix show that doesn't make any sense.
All right, Munson. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the nice, cool fall temps down there. Appreciate it.
I know, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com. Man, what a story yesterday. That's right. The one of the top quarterbacks in the country. He's committed to LSU. I mean, he's the number one, depending on where you look, but he's the number one player in the class.
Even more than Juju?
Even more than Juju. Wow. He was committed to LSU, has been committed to LSU for a little while. And Michigan sounds like came in and through some big dollars. Big dollars, Josh.
Flip.
I'll tell you what, like,
Philadelphia.
hey, that could Michigan probably doesn't feel very good about itself right now. They're probably wondering about their future. Well, all of a sudden somebody ponies up 8 figures for the number one player in the country. Kind of changes the vibe around there, doesn't it?
Riding high today.
Didn't it kind of change the vibe around here?
Oh, yeah.
When Dylan Raiola was like, actually, I want to blaze my own trail. I want to have a different path.
And a flip feels so much better because it's like,
Isn't that
I didn't think
amazing?
we were going to win, and we won.
Yeah, like we had already lost, but we won.
Yeah.
My Call of Duty fans would get this when you're when they do the jailbreak. You know, you're already eliminated and you're sitting around for a little bit maybe, and then they're like, bing, 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 jailbreak, and everybody who's dead comes back.
Yeah.
That's like what a flip is. Josh definitely knows what I'm talking about.
Totally.
Josh, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
It's feast week.
It's a feast week. Why is it called that? Bryan Christopherson is coming up next. Let's talk about the football game. Nebraska and Wisconsin. Nebraska has not won in a very long time. I have a stat for you. I'm gonna try and catch BC off guard by this.
Ooh.
We'll have it later.
He's a very smart man.
We'll have it later in the picks or in the keys segment as well. But what Wisconsin has done to Nebraska in their running game in the last 12 meetings since the two teams have been in the conference is obscene, and they should be put in jail for it.
Oh no.
That it is inappropriate. It's inappropriate. I have the number. I'll tell you, and I'll tell Bryan Christopherson. Coming up next on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, Brian. Bryan Christopherson.
I gotta take this. It's Hap.
B. Roney drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry.
Bryan Christopherson, Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. We're the Connor Happer Show. We're joined now on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline by our dear friend, Bryan Christopherson of Husker 247.
Let's grunt everything now.
BC, hello. Happy Friday. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
We're good. You're about to maybe be less good after I read you this this statistic. Are you ready?
Go.
All right. So Nebraska, Wisconsin have played each other 12 times since they've been in the Big Ten. Of course, Nebraska's won one of those games. Wisconsin has amassed 3,463 rushing yards in those 12 games. That is an average of 288.5 yards per game. Now, of course, they had back-to-back games where they had more than 500 yards rushing, but they've also had a trio of 300-yard rushing games, and 200-plus is the norm in this series, although Nebraska did a pretty good job on them last year. Wisconsin has nearly run for 2 miles against Nebraska since the two teams have been in the Big Ten. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it doesn't sound very good to me. I mean, Melvin Gordon ran for about one of those miles, and then the one that was almost worse, it wasn't worse because when a guy runs for 408 yards and 3/4 on you and it's snowing and the other side is making snow angels at the end of the game, that's worse. But the one where it was they were honoring one of the Husker teams.
It was 97. It was 17. They were honoring the 97 team, and Jonathan Taylor just smoked them.
Yeah, and it was tied, remember? Nebraska got a pick and the place was kind of juiced up, and
pick
then
six?
Wisconsin's like, we're going to run the ball 11 times on this drive, and we're going to get 7 yards per carry. No more, no less. Just like 7 yards per carry, and it's just going to rip out your soul in front of these great, like, pipeline members standing on the sideline. That one almost rivaled the 408.
100%. 100%. Because that was, I mean, Wisconsin had been doing this for years to people. But you're right. It was a night game. It felt a little different that night. And you had the 97 team in. Nebraska had tied it up on a pick six. And it was really what I dubbed at the time the soul crusher drive. You just said they stole your soul out of you, but 100%. They ran for 353 yards that day, which is kind of absurd. But yeah, hasn't been easy for Nebraska's rush defense against Wisconsin.
I mean, the other side of this conversation is Wisconsin hasn't been that same type of organization the last few years, and this team coming in isn't that either. And so, it was interesting. Deshaun Singleton was up there at the podium the other day, and someone asked him if he knew the last time Nebraska beat Wisconsin. He didn't, and he was told 2012. He's like, man, that's a long time. But my takeaway was like, yeah, Deshaun Singleton doesn't care about that. It doesn't matter at all to him. It matters they lost last year and probably felt they could have had that game. But this squad right now has to just look at it like, all right, the team we're playing, what they put on film, they're very beatable. Let's clean up some things, and all the history lessons and everything that's going to be out there this week really don't matter. So that's the other side of it.
I would imagine that, with their changes this week, with Wisconsin's changes this week at offensive coordinator, that there will be this almost like sentimental, like, hey, we're going to try and get back to our roots here. This is what we do.
I think so.
We dominate Nebraska. I imagine there will be a little bit of that this week. And the one win that Nebraska had, they really shut Wisconsin down on the ground. They only allowed 56 yards rushing in that game that they won in 2012 with the disastrous uniforms on. But I would imagine that Wisconsin really is going to say to themselves, hey, let's get back to our roots here.
If Husker fans were promised a victory tomorrow, though, they'd say, wear those uniforms in a second.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like those spaceman uniforms or whatever they were. But I think you're right. Tawi Walker, he has 773 yards. He's only at 4.8 per carry and like 86 per game. So it's not just remarkable, but he's a good back. I don't think he's as good as Woody Marks at USC. But the big key, as it so often is, but especially this week, is on first down, after that play is over, is Wisconsin in like 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, or is it 2nd and 5? And if Walker or whomever the back is falling forward for like the extra 2 yards, and Wisconsin kind of makes it into a 2nd and 6, 3rd and 3 kind of game where they feel like they've got the play sheet looking back at them how they want, that's the danger. And Captain Obvious can always say start strong, but I think especially with what's happened in recent weeks, on the first series or two, Nebraska's defense has to be up for it on third down. Like, it can't be a deal where
nothing like the UCLA game.
Yeah, it just took the crowd right out of it, sucked all the energy out of the place, and it just brought sort of this dreaded feeling over the stadium that we all know it's become too familiar. And the players know it too. It's that feeling when it's even a 13-7 game, like, yeah, this is one of those, isn't it? And so we can say the players are separated from the fans and media and thinking that, but I don't think that's the case after watching it play out. I think they get the same vibes a lot of us do. And so that's why it's really critical that they get those third down stops early, they get that first touchdown. And then I think there's got to be, at some point, Nebraska's got to find one explosive touchdown on offense that has been lacking. Like, where's that 55-yard bolt of lightning? It can be a grinder game. That's fine. But within that, there's, that one play sometimes, like Jalen Lloyd had a big touchdown against Iowa that sparked Nebraska and made it a game last year. It's something like that this group really needs.
Some people made that their oddly specific prediction this week, BC.
I recall that, yeah.
Interesting. All right. What do you it's been an interesting week. I thought Rule seemed a little, he was ready to play, I think, yesterday, and he's talked a lot about the seniors. I would like to see that group, especially, leaning on the old guys, if you're going to go that way, which it seems like they will, with a real sort of energy to them. Like, I think if the crowd backs them up, and the kind of conditions are right, this has a chance to be a really, really good environment and a place that could potentially propel Nebraska's defense to be playing downhill. I think you're so right about that first drive thing too. Like, get started on the right foot and get on top of them, and then you kind of go from there. What do you think it'll be like in there, just in terms of how Nebraska plays, and then the crowd, I guess, as well?
I think it can be a great home field advantage, but it's sort of if Nebraska is playing from ahead, and that's not a crowd criticism at all if the Huskers face a deficit, but I just think there's sort of a lot of anxiety right now and a wavering feeling with confidence about what's going to happen, that everybody involved and the fan base is often in lockstep with this team. They take it together. They need to feel good early on, okay, we're in the captain's chair in this game. We're the ones calling the shots. And I think if that's the case early on, it'll be a pretty rowdy crowd if Nebraska's playing well, because I do think there's some disdain between the two sides a little bit, even though Wisconsin might not have it as much because they've always been on the right side of it. So maybe they don't feel as much of that animosity towards Nebraska. But I do think Husker fans have some of that because of all the punishments Wisconsin's laid out over the last decade. So I expect it to be a loud environment if Nebraska's playing well. And like you said, Rule did mention maybe some young guys in the secondary could get called on. So that's an interesting sidebar. But I do think, all said and done, this comes down to your T. Robinsons, your Giffords, all those guys who have been around, Nash, the whole crew that's been around and finishing this right. And I think a lot of Ty Robinson, in a game like this, I've said this week, but if people wake up tomorrow and they're not exactly fired up for it, I get it. It's 2 5-5 teams. But I've sat through so many post games with a guy like Ty Robinson or Isaac Gifford, and they've had to try to explain it. And it's hard because there's not only some 3 questions that can be asked, and the guy looks like he's Mike going to lose it because he's put so much into it. Tomorrow night just really needs to be one of those games where it's a different kind of post game around dinner time Saturday. And so I think of like Ty Robinson and Gifford in a game like this, and all that's on the line and all the years they put into it, that ideally they get that 6th win. I know that doesn't mean a lot to people outside our bubble, but this program has to have a different December than it's been the last, 7 years. It's just there's got to be a game involved in practices and all that. So this matters a whole lot.
What's a step forward in week 2 look like under Dana Holgorsen's offense?
I think, a big part of it is just finishing. Like if you wanted to put it in one word, I had trouble writing this week about the third quarter. You could write a story about like, okay, they had 2 trips they had 2 chances in the red zone and they come away with 6 points. What makes it difficult a little bit, and I try to resist bringing the officials into it. But when there's like a play where I felt like there should have been a flag on Banks, obviously on the first drive out of the half, that's probably a touchdown if that's called correctly, that drive, you'd hope, if you have first and goal at the 2. But nonetheless, they only, you're right. And they only scored, that's exactly right. And they only scored 6 points on those trips, including one that was really promising to start the half. And so that's the deal right there. It's like when you get down there and you have that chance at the 12-yard line, wherever it is, can Dana and that crew find the plays to make that a touchdown on maybe 2 occasions in this game? And if they do, they'll win it. And if it's a deal where you have to settle for like 2 or 3 field goals, you could end up looking at like a 15-14 loss like the last time they were in here with Jim Leonard. So that to me is it in a word. It's like when they get to those third down and gotta have it plays, can they dial it up right? Can Dylan deliver it right? All of that stuff. It's winning your one-on-ones, on each side of the ball. If they can do that pretty effectively, I favor them in this game. But they gotta win more of those plays that are right there in front of them.
All right, BC. What's the path for Nebraska ball tonight to get a win on the road in Omaha?
Well, they've got to. I mean, Fred stressed this week. Like they've really got to get back in transition defense, and they know, how good Creighton is, in that part of the game. But also, I think Nebraska's got to hit some outside shots.
Definitely.
They're averaging five makes behind the arc per game so far, and it's early, but they just haven't been able to get the lid off from outside. And so if Nebraska's going to pull an upset, I think they're 10.5-point favorite underdogs last I saw.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to maybe double that. Like it's got to be a game where, Connor Esigian hits 3 and Gavin Griffiths hits 2 or 3, and then Burke, pops in a couple suddenly. Like you see it all come together at the same time. Because what's CU averaging? 88 points per game. Not saying they'll get that tonight, but they can score it. So Nebraska's going to have to hit those shots that they haven't. They've been good at getting to the line, but Creighton doesn't foul a lot. So there's an interesting part of it too. If Nebraska can even make that happen. So with all that, got to hit those shots and give yourself a chance. And maybe you got to try to take Kalkbrenner as much as possible, and then hope CU's a little bit cold like they were 2 years ago when they couldn't hit the broadside of a barn in that game. Yep. So who knows?
All right, BC. We will see you in a couple hours then. Talk to you soon.
Yep. See you then.
Bryan Christopherson, Husker 247. Those boys got podcasts all over the place.
Pods on pods.
They got so many pods. They did a Nebraska ball, kind of hypecast type of deal. They did the football hypecast. I don't know if they did a volleyball hypecast. Could have.
There's an audience for it, I'm sure. Now that's you, Connor Happer, saying that someone has a lot of pods. Think about that.
Yeah, it should mean more coming from me. It just means more.
That's right.
Nebraska basketball, 25.6% from 3 this year. That is 327th in the country. Do you have a take?
That's a big number.
Yeah, it is. There are only 364 teams. They're going to have to make some shots. They're gonna have to make some shots.
They're gonna have to keep pace,
and like it's
That's gonna be a
simply that because
struggle.
they're not gonna like. I know Mia and Berke are like those guys give you side, and they're gonna play the big lineups a lot tonight, but those guys just aren't gonna get anything done against Kalkbrenner. Like Kalkbrenner's influence on this game defensively is astronomical. It's on paper it looks like a really, really good matchup for Creighton because of the way Nebraska gets their points. But all of a sudden, if they start making threes, I don't know. You gotta have a game like that. Maybe this is the one. That's what Nebraska hopes tonight.
The path.
Plenty more on Nebraska and Creighton coming up on the show today. Sipple's going to join us in the noon hour.
Sipple.
Nebraska and Wisconsin football. He'll be parked in a parking lot, I'm sure, somewhere.
I went to the bank.
I had to cash some checks. Odd News is next on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
All right, it's time for the odd news.
Yeah.
We've been delivered our plates for Thanksgiving potluck 2024 here at NRG Media Omaha.
It's going down.
I haven't told this to anybody yet, but so on the plate was turkey, not bearcay, turkey, stuffing, mac and cheese, and like a broccoli casserole type of deal, and a bun, and green beans. So we don't have mashed potatoes. Interesting. We're not going to talk about that.
It's a choice.
Whoever made the mac and cheese, you win the day. If you're listening out there, if you're in the bathroom, I know we're on in the bathroom. What's up? What's up to my homies in the bathroom? If you made the mac and cheese, you won. Congratulations. I don't know if there's a vote or anything like that, but I like to cast my vote for the mac and cheese.
Some people take great pride in quote unquote winning Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
Having the best.
Everything's
dish.
a competition, Josh.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm in. Shouts out to whoever did that.
Okay, I'm gonna have to
dive in there.
Yeah.
See what's going on.
Okay.
All right, Josh, what do we got in the odd news today?
PETA is back.
Oh, great.
They're unhappy.
I'm sure they are. It's Thanksgiving.
Are they ever happy? They've told TMZ Sports that they are furious at UConn women's basketball coach Gino Auriemma.
Uh-oh.
Wednesday night, Gino became the winningest basketball coach ever or something like that.
I think that's probably right.
Like
actually.
most wins or something.
Yeah.
1,217 of them. To be exact. Well, the school brought a live goat onto the court.
Nice. Pulling out all the stops.
Yeah, seems wildly unnecessary.
So what's wrong with that, PETA?
Well, PETA claimed the goat was visibly anxious. And to make matters worse, it said the person leading it either didn't notice or didn't care that the goat's collar was digging into the goat's neck.
Oh, well, isn't that what collars do?
The organization said it'll be sending UConn a letter later this week to urge the school to make this cruel courtside spectacle its last.
I'm sure that will be it.
Once you
can't bring a goat a second time.
There's no record to break after you break that particular
I
record.
was coming out of my neighborhood this morning, Josh, and
you saw a goat?
Kind of. Oh, well, not really kind of, but hear me out. So, what's the speed limit in the neighborhood?
25. Keep kids alive.
On the road outside, like the road that connects to my neighborhood, it's I think it's either 35 or 40. I think it's 35.
Okay.
Right? The standard city speed limit.
Mm-hmm.
There was a dead deer right at the entrance to my neighborhood.
Oh my.
I'm like, what happened?
This feels like a sign.
So either that deer got clipped like a long time ago and made it to the edge of my neighborhood, or got shot somewhere and made it to the edge of my neighborhood.
A lot of gunplay.
Or somebody was going way
too fast.
Way too fast, right? Like 35, you think that? I mean, I guess it depends on which way you hit it.
Yeah.
But 35, you could probably slow down. I don't know. It set off some alarm bells for me.
Okay.
Oh.
Time to get the Happers out of that neighborhood.
No.
Oh.
I just wondered, how'd the deer get there? What happened to the deer?
Many
That's
are
all.
asking.
PETA would probably be concerned about it.
PETA added in its letter, quote, the University of Connecticut can't con people, con spelled C-O-N-N, into thinking it's okay to subject a stressed out animal out to the chaos of bright lights and screaming fans.
Okay. Thank you, PETA.
We got it.
We got it.
Let's talk about trolls. Former Tennessee Titans head coach Mike Malarkey, a human being I forgot, coached the Tennessee Titans.
Your favorite football team.
That's right. He said on the way out, he played a masterful prank on NFL insider Ian Rappaport. The night before he was fired in 2018, he sent Ian a text that said, hey, let me give you a little nugget here. I'm going to get a new contract tomorrow. So Ian, instead of sourcing this with literally anyone else, ran with it and got, the news
Always
cycle.
check your sources.
That's right. You got to have 2.
Yeah.
Some people even say 3 nowadays, but
it is a great lesson, though.
It is.
It's like, you hear this, you better check with somebody else. It's nice to hear it one time from one person, but that's that person's perspective. Or they're straight up lying to you to make a fool out of you.
So Malarkey was on the Jaguars Hour with Brent and Austin Wednesday. I don't know if that's a radio show or a podcast. Doesn't matter.
Love those guys.
That's right.
Love Brent and Austin.
So Sunday night I called Ian and I said, hey, I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to break it to you. I'm getting a new contract in the morning. He reported it. It was all over the country that I was getting a new contract. I got fired the next day. I knew I was going to get fired, but I just wanted to see the faces on the owner and GM who were out to get me, and I'm pretty sure I got them for a moment or two. I don't think you did, because they're the GM and the owner. They know that guy's not getting a new contract.
It's pretty funny. Pretty funny. Good work. You, Mike Malarkey.
Okay. Connor, I don't do this often.
All right.
I have 2 stories. I'm going to let you pick.
Okay.
One of them is just us laughing at Jay Leno.
Oh, about his face?
Yes, his face.
Well, we can speculate.
Yeah, we can. The other is a stupid criminal story.
I feel like the stupid criminal stories are a dime a dozen.
Okay.
Let's laugh at Jay Leno.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking. Jay Leno, this is from TMZ. They're calling him such a badass. He did a comedy gig with an eye patch, a black eye, a bandaged wrist, and a swollen face after taking a nasty fall near his hotel. Jay arrived at the Comedy for Kobe event in Beverly Hills. Not that Kobe, by the way. And somebody asked him, what the hell happened to your face? Jay told us he was staying at a hotel on a hill and wanted to go to a restaurant at the bottom of the hill.
I just can't believe that.
And instead of trying to take the path down, he went down the hill and tumbled down. If you haven't seen the photos, I forgot to get them and load them in to the stream here.
He looks completely ridiculous. His entire face is blue.
The left half of his face is black and blue.
It's not so much here. Not so much here. More
right here.
Yeah.
He had an eye patch, a wrist wrap. He says, hey, it's not going to stop me from, doing my thing. There have been many a street reporter on this case, and they've sent out pictures of the hill in question.
Mm-hmm.
First of all,
not going to do that to you.
The hotel is about $90 a night.
All right, Jay Leno ain't staying there.
Yeah, I would think so. And the hill, while steep,
is it
not that long a fall?
So the other thing that people are speculating about is that he's like in bad with somebody, like he's got gambling debt.
Jay Leno does spend an inordinate amount of time in Vegas, and one would wildly speculate that the loan sharks might be evening the score.
Isn't he like super duper into collectible cars and stuff like that?
Yes.
Like, all right, so maybe blew his money. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible that it could be both? Is it possible that he is both in some sort of debt to somebody, but he actually did roll down the hill?
Oh,
which
okay.
If he was in some sort of debt, that would make sense as to why he's staying at the Hampton Inn on the hill. It costs $90.
Yes.
Right?
Now I had not thought of this option. Now
it's both. It's both.
When he was doing the Tonight Show, he would famously not spend that money. The Tonight Show goes into the bank account. It stays there, it saves, it grows, whatever. I'll do stand-up in Vegas every single weekend, like 50 weekends a year. That will be my spending money. That will be the money that I use to buy things. So I find it hard to believe that he's out of money.
It's been a while, though.
But it's
been a while. Do you get a pension for working the Tonight Show?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Oh, no.
It's probably just a contract. Yeah, this is a tough one to get to the bottom to, but his face looks ridiculous.
His
face looks ridiculous.
So bad.
A couple things here. Here's one from Platt Cat.
Hi, Platt Cat.
I hit a deer once going under 25 miles an hour, and that bad boy still got smoked.
Oh, really?
I only hit a deer, I think, once, and I was on Highway 6.
Never have.
Off of the Waverly exit going into Lincoln, like over by that. There's like a U-stop on the corner there with the big American flag.
That's right.
Smack that sucker. He tried to hop off. He couldn't have made it very far. I got him. I had deer hair in my car.
Oh.
My bumper was bleeped up. I got all bleeped up. So I don't think he made it very far.
Now, are you thinking that's what happened here? It got clipped and it ran.
He didn't seem like the deer didn't seem like he was in like. He didn't get run over by a semi truck. You know what I mean?
He didn't get blowed up.
No. Just a
carcass.
He just died.
Still intact.
He just died. You know, it was one of those things.
Maybe he died of old age.
I'll report back when I come home tonight at I guess it'll be like 10:30 or something like that. I'm not going home. All right. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That's the odd news. We will come back the noon hour. Time for a history lesson next on 1620 The Zone.
He has the latest sports news, expert analysis, award-winning commentary, and a pocket full of cabbage.
Can you give us an indication why?
Just in case there's a sauerkraut emergency.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, no sauerkraut emergencies today. You don't need sauerkraut for turkey dinner, a.k.a. turkey lunch. Here at our Thanksgiving potluck, Josh still has a mouthful of it as we rejoin you here for the noon hour. The Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Here's an email from John.
Hi, John.
Subject line, roadkill.
Ooh.
I once hit a full-grown cow driving a semi 65 miles an hour. I smoked that thing, but hit it hard enough that it totaled the truck.
You got to hit that thing.
Yeah, so the thing is dead, but the truck, not in good shape. The weirdest part of hitting a deer is if you hit it straight, you're driving a car, you're driving a sedan or whatever, it goes over your windshield and you get to briefly see like the frightened face of the deer before it meets its demise. Yeah, it's really odd. That's why the windshields break half the time, because it rolls up, and if you're lucky enough that the deer survives, you can put it in your back seat and it'll ruin the upholstery in your car.
I have several texts.
Isn't that what happened in Tommy Boy?
That is. Also have a voicemail.
A voicemail?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. You received a call during that last segment.
Yes, my father called me during that segment.
Yes.
Listening to me on the radio.
Uh-huh.
Which I greatly appreciate.
Thanks for listening.
He also left me a 3-minute voicemail. I'm going to guess that that's just the sound of his pocket.
All right.
But
what was the message that he wanted to convey?
He sent me a text after the phone call, which is valuable information here. I hate to break it to you, but when you get old, you can trip over nothing.
Oh, that makes sense, because I've kind of tripped over nothing a lot. I've told you guys this before, where sometimes when I'm walking up the stairs, I overthink it. Like, it's such a natural thing that you've done in your life for 47,000 times. Like, you're just walking upstairs, right? So if you're not thinking about it, your feet just go where they're supposed to go. But all of a sudden, if you start thinking about it, you're like, what? All of a sudden, your legs don't work anymore, and that's where you look like an idiot. So I buy that.
Jay Leno is 74, and we have another comment on the YouTube stream from a doctor. Bruising of the face exacerbates under the skin due to the skin laxity and gravity. Absolutely plausible. This is simply due to a fall. Maybe it's possible that the mob pushed him down the hill.
Did we just get doctor-splained bruises?
I think so, but I find it helpful.
That's good. That's good. Thank you, doctor. Appreciate that.
What's up, Doc?
Jesse writes in on the text line.
Hi, Jesse.
We have had 5 wins for 6 weeks tomorrow. 6 weeks.
Good God. When you say it like that.
We've all been sitting on 5 wins for 6 weeks. OMG, give me the pump-up speech already.
Oh, it's coming, 1:30.
Yeah. You're going to have to stay tuned for that. Sorry, we can't put that out of rotation. But we have to follow the normal Friday protocol here. We got to go with a history lesson. Nebraska and Wisconsin.
Take me back, Connor.
All right, so these schools have met a grand total of 17 times now. This will be the 18th meeting tomorrow in Lincoln. Wisconsin has won 10 games in a row in the series.
They went 110 years in the series without winning a game.
What? They did?
I think so. I think they went from like 1901 to 20.
No.
Or maybe they won one in 110 years?
No. Incorrect.
No, I think I'm.
No, you're not. Where else? If Nebraska hasn't won once in the last 10 tries, where do you think they got their 4 wins?
No, Wisconsin.
Oh, Wisconsin went for a long time. Yeah. They went from 1901 to 1974 without winning.
Okay. There you go. That's a long time.
I thought you were talking about Nebraska. I was like, it hasn't been that long. Jeez.
No.
I remember vividly the last time Nebraska won.
I love dear old Nebraska U.
They were wearing garbage uniforms.
People forget.
All right, so they started the series in 1901. Then they did a home and home in the 60s. Nebraska crushed Wisconsin in both of those games. And then they did a home and home in the 70s where Nebraska won a game close, and then Wisconsin won a game close in Madison in 1974. Then they didn't meet again until 2011, at which point Russell Wilson was the quarterback of the Wisconsin Badgers. Horror stories abound about how, that was Nebraska's first road game in the Big Ten. It was College game day. People headed up there. Nebraska had the directive to their fans out to wear black. And it was this that allowed Wisconsin fans to have the separation of Nebraska and Wisconsin fans, and then allowed them to hurl obscenities, objects, rocks, things of that nature at them. I've heard horror stories from that weekend. I had a great time. I was there, but I was a college kid.
Nothing fazed you?
No. I woke up, I slept on a marble dorm room floor of a kid I barely knew.
Disgusting.
There was 5 of us in one room. Barely knew this kid. And slept in the dorm for maybe a couple hours after the drive up. Woke up real early, went to college game day, and then had a day. I was amazed at the public displays of drinking on the streets.
Hello.
It was happening. There was not a care in the world up there. That was my introduction to the Big Ten Conference. Nebraska got an introduction to the Big Ten Conference that night as well, and lost 48-17. Guh is right. Almost goo. That was the first time I'd heard. That was the first time I heard of the tradition that they now tout regularly on national television broadcasts, known as jump around.
Oh, do they play jump around during the game? I hadn't heard that.
They do play jump around.
It's like their entire identity.
This is the first time I'd ever heard of it. And I'm like, whoa, this is actually really cool. And now it's washed and it's stupid.
Highly.
But that was also the first time that I heard. So at a media timeout, like right before that, everybody's having a great time. Wisconsin's up big. They're rolling Nebraska. They sing right before that. They sing "Build Me Up, Buttercup." I love "Build Me Up, Buttercup." What a song! And I was like, "Whoa, this is cool. How did you get your whole crowd to sing "Build Me Up, Buttercup" and then jump around?" It's just what we do. And I'm like, "Wow, I kind of like this conference." Mm-hmm. And then I liked it for probably a couple of years, and now I hate it again. So we're back. But let's go back to 1901. Final score is the first thing you'll notice. Wisconsin 18, Nebraska 0. A lot of games were shutouts back in this time. Josh, a lot of games were shutouts.
A lot?
Like almost every game was a shutout.
Oh, wow.
You either scored points and won, or you didn't score points and you lost.
When in 1901 was this?
Let me pull it here real quick. Back to the Winsipedia. November 2nd.
Okay, November 2nd. So
the Titanic wouldn't sink for another decade.
Theodore Roosevelt was president.
All right. Cool. Excellent. They played each other in Milwaukee. Wisconsin hoped that that a bigger crowd would be attracted by playing this in Milwaukee at the baseball stadium. This was the home at the time of the Milwaukee Brewers.
Did Bucky the Badger go down that slide?
That was not a park yet.
Oh, okay.
Not for another about 100 years. That was the franchise that if you carry its lineage, that is the franchise that is now the Baltimore Orioles.
Oh, okay.
So then there's another franchise that comes in, and then eventually they become the Braves.
That's right.
And then there's an expansion franchise, which that's what.
Pick a team, Brewers.
They've always been called the Brewers.
Yeah.
But there's been several iterations of it. It's called the Lloyd Street Grounds, also known as Milwaukee Baseball Park. The dimensions of this field for a baseball field are absolutely out of control.
Oh.
It's like when you're playing MLB The Show and you're like, let's go play at the Polo Grounds because the fence is 900 feet away in dead center field. That's what this is. Turns out it actually works really well for a football field, and that's why they did it. It's a multi-purpose, hey, let's It's the county grounds. Everybody can come out. We can play all the sports here.
Versus when they do a game at Wrigley, and it's like, I don't know if this fits, guys.
You can't really forcing it. You can't really retrofit. No, remember the one time where they played there and they had to use the one end zone twice because half the end zone was cut off by a brick wall. Awesome. They fixed that problem somehow. Made expandable seats on the third base dugout side at Wrigley Field. Wisconsin was 5-0 going into the game. They had outscored their opponents so far on that season in 1901, 201-5.
To 5.
Yeah, they were crushing everybody.
I thought you were going to say more.
Nebraska, on the other hand, was 4-1. They had shut out teams for their 4 wins, but they were shut out by Minnesota previously. Like I said, Josh, every game is a shutout.
A lot of shutouts.
I'm looking at team photos. Looks like a bad group of young gentlemen. They all have parts in the middle of their hair, slicked to the sides.
Oh, that's how you know.
That is most certainly how you know. The Nebraska team looks a little more haggard, a little bit more.
Well, those Nebraska winters.
They looked a little bit more angry. The Wisconsin guys seemed a little fresher. You know, Nebraska. The Nebraska
fire alarm go off.
They had and they wore the big N on their sweaters, jerseys at the time. Which
that's right. They were sweaters.
That basically ended up being their jerseys in 2012 when they played each other at Memorial Stadium. This comes from footballarchaeology.com. Upon returning home, the Nebraska reporters criticized referee Everett Wren for overruling a first down granted by the linesman 8 other decisions that they considered unfair. Isn't that interesting? Among the issues, they claimed that when Wren measured for first downs, he placed the ball with the points toward the goal lines for Wisconsin, but when he measured for Nebraska, he aimed the points of the football toward the sideline.
Oh, wow.
This was a gigantic conspiracy. Hashtag Big Ten officiating, even in 1901. Here is an excerpt from the Lincoln Journal-Star, November 4th, 1901.
Hi, Sipple.
Another of Wren's cheap tricks was to place the ball lengthwise of the field and measure its front end for distance when Wisconsin was advancing it. When Nebraska was on the defensive, it was placed crosswise and the measurement taken from the middle of the ball. This made a difference of from 4 to 6 inches and gave the Badgers their second touchdown. They lacked their distance once near Nebraska's goal line by over an inch, but the front end of the ball protruded an eyelash width beyond the stick held at the line, and Wisconsin retained the ball when it should have passed the ball to Nebraska. It should have given the ball back to Nebraska.
Wow.
Can you believe that? Can you believe that conspiracy?
What?
Why would he have done that?
How could he get away with that?
Or do you think this is just shenanigans from the Lincoln Journal-Star?
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
I mean, do you think they made this up?
No. I believe it.
Okay.
Refs have always been out to get Nebraska.
They certainly were. If this was true, I think some real officiating change would happen in 2024. Yet, still, more than 120 years later, Josh, we're still talking about inaccuracies in spotting the football. Here we are.
Incredible.
Wisconsin had a successful season that year. They claimed a share of the Western Conference Championship with Michigan.
Michigan was the national champion that year.
Michigan ended up playing in not the Rose Bowl, but a game in Pasadena. It didn't become It didn't become known as the Rose Bowl until the 1930s, but it was technically the Rose Bowl. Wisconsin, the next year in 1902, got them an invite to the Rose Bowl in 1903, only to have Stanford and Cal refuse to play the game. So Wisconsin actually didn't get to play in the Rose Bowl until the 50s.
Oh, no.
But Wisconsin coach Phil King had a nice run, and then it was the dark ages for Wisconsin football for a long time until really until Barry Alvarez came around.
You said a lot of games were shutouts at the time.
Yep.
I wanted to kind of wrap my head around that.
You want to add to that a little bit?
There were 25 games played on November 2nd, 1901.
Look, are you going to grunt the slate?
12 of them were shutouts.
I'm telling you, man.
Harvard beat Brown 48-0.
Nothing. You either scored and won or you didn't score and you got 0. They were really, really good at ball control back then.
In the 1901 Nebraska football season, Nebraska played 8 games. They went 6-2 in that season.
Yep.
6 of their games were shutouts, whether they won or lost.
So you think I'm right about this?
I do, yes.
You think this is correct?
Game 1 was a road game. Nebraska started on the road at the Kirksville Osteopaths.
Oh, right. Osteopaths, huh?
Yeah.
Like Kirksville, Missouri?
That's right.
Kirksville, Iowa? Is Kirksville, Iowa a thing?
I don't know.
Kirksville. There's a junior college in Kirksville, isn't there?
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Were they in the ICCAC at one point? I don't know. I feel like I played at a Kirksville at some point. Kirkstown.
Now that you say that.
Kirk something. I don't know. Kirk Ferentz. I don't know. All them Kirks. There you go.
I don't know.
There's your history lesson. Josh. What do you think? Refs have been screwing Nebraska over for 120 freaking years.
I love that you found that.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of empty. We gotta give credit to footballarchaeology.com. There are a whole bunch of articles out there. This is really some of what I've been using the entire year. It's not just this website, but there's a local entity, and I can't remember what it is now, that every time Nebraska plays, they will do a flashback like we've done it. So I'll use those for reference, and then, if I could pull some stuff from the papers back during that time. It's been a fun segment to put together. When was the first time that Nebraska and Iowa met?
Ooh. On November 2nd, 1901, Yale tied Army 5-5.
So both teams scored in that game at least.
Union and Amherst tied at 0. I did not include that in my shutout numbers. You can add 1 to the shutouts on November 2nd, 1901.
By the way, preview for next week, Nebraska 30-21-3 all time against Iowa. Their first meeting, we'll have to go back even further.
Oh, give it to me.
1891.
Oh, let's go.
When Nebraska lost, you guessed it, 22-0 to Iowa.
Look at us now.
Nebraska went through, okay, just quickly. Nebraska went through, starting in 1894, they played each other every year. And let's just go through they didn't play each other every year during this period of time, but from 1894 until 1897, I guess they did play each other every year. Nebraska allowed a grand total of 6 points to Iowa in 5 meetings.
Wow, let's go.
They lost one of those games, and they tied another one. Maybe we'll have a throwback to that next week on Black Friday.
Nebraska Mo Valley champs in 1901.
Mo Valley, huh? Is that a mid-major conference?
It was.
Drake is in the Missouri Valley Conference. They're beating Florida Atlantic right now in basketball at the Shriners Children's Charleston Classic.
Go Bulldogs.
Got an email here from Tanner.
Hi, Tanner.
On the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. Do you see Doug, by the way, today? He's all jayed up.
I saw he sent us a photo.
He's hanging out with Austin Chapman. What's he doing? Austin Chapman, a big catalyst in the Creighton, Nebraska series. One of Creighton's most hilarious wins in the series was in 2015 when Nebraska was coming off an NCAA tournament appearance, and I think they had lost to Rhode Island already. Nebraska did, so they weren't ranked, but they were like preseason ranked. And Creighton lost everybody, right? It was the team after Doug and Rogge and Gibbs and all those guys, and they ended up being pretty bad. But Creighton won at Nebraska that year, led by one Austin Chapman. Anyway, Tanner, my God, if this is foreshadowing anything for tomorrow, I don't know what, but that would not be good. So one of my oddly specific predictions on the 247 pod this week was that there's going to be, it's not specific enough, so I didn't use it as my exclusive oddly specific prediction, But I think there's going to be a penalty. There's going to be an instance where the ref comes on the interior PA at the stadium, and he is going to say something that you've never heard before. This game has weird written all over it.
Oh no.
These are two bad teams in bad places right now, and nobody knows what anybody is going to do. Both teams are incredibly desperate. I mean, incredibly desperate.
That's right.
So you're going to see some things that you may have never seen before. But it is imperative that Nebraska wins this football game. Imperative.
Oh, yes. That I agree with you.
Getting to 6 wins and going to party at the Grand China Buffet.
Hell yeah. Who's coming with me?
Our keys and our P's coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. But let's talk about this thing with Stephen M. Sipple with HuskerOnline.com. He's with us coming back on the Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone.
Pineapple.
Steve Sipple,
Hut, hut, hey! The conversation gets even more uncomfortable, okay?
Omaha. Steve Sipple on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
This week, it's another day, another Drake basketball game we're watching on our television during the show. So we're joined now by Steve Sipple of HuskerOnline.com. Sipple, hello. Happy Friday. How are you?
How are you guys?
Good. I was very excited to receive your pictures. Now I was told that the thing that you thought was lobster was actually crab, or vice versa. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I don't think you had that one right, but it looked great.
All right, now hold on. What's going on here?
So remember when you sent me that picture of your food at the LA restaurant?
Oh, yeah. That was a while ago.
It was less than a week ago.
We're catching up now.
Yeah. So we had Robin on, and so what you sent me was that's some kind of lobster, and I was like, well, Robin Sipple sent me a picture of a lobster, and he was like, well, that was crab. So he set you straight on that one.
It was a crustacean.
Yeah, you were in the right community. That counts. Did you eat the entire plate full of chilled whipped cream while you're at this restaurant?
No, I was stuffed by that point, but it was tempting.
Yeah. You seem pretty fired up to be there, though. I enjoyed the pictures. I appreciate them very much.
Oh, I was fired up. I don't seldom in my lifetime have I ventured into Beverly Hills, to a restaurant that even in LA with the locals, if you tell them you went to Mastro's, that it raises eyebrows.
Nice.
Oh, it's like that. It's like, you went to Mastro's. Okay.
So it was a good trip altogether. Everything went well.
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, I hate it, but I know people hate it when you kind of talk like this after a loss. But I love those trips.
Yeah.
You know, we Ubered all over, so there was low stress, and you didn't see a lot of LA, but we went to Beverly Hills, and you're in that Culver City range, so you don't see a ton, but enough to get a good feel.
No, we don't know until tomorrow. But how do you feel based off of what you've heard this week about how Nebraska is responded or is respond? I mean, it's been a long grind for them this year, and they've had changes. How have you felt about sort of their attitude going into this one?
I think it's okay. I think it's fine. I wouldn't characterize it as. It's just, come on. I mean, we're talking about kind of perception.
Yeah.
When you're not around them all the time, you don't know for sure. But my sense, from what I've heard and what I've seen from Rule, etc., is just fine. But here's the thing. I mean, what's Wisconsin going to be like?
Sure.
What are a lot of teams like in November these days? If you're not let's just put it this way: if you're not in a playoff discussion, what are teams like in November now? That's one interesting part of college football going forward that we're not really familiar with that part. What's a team like Minnesota? How are they going to be on Saturday? They've had a good season, but they're not going to be in the playoffs. So
they play Penn State at home. They should probably be pretty fired up.
So is Nebraska. But I don't know if these teams, they're not playing for much. They're playing for 10th in the league or whatever, or 9th, 8th, 7th. So, but I don't know. I wonder how Wisconsin will be. And really what we're getting to is the heart of the matter, probably, is which team has the more want to, and who has the more important why, who has enough dudes that show up and play. There'll be some that don't want to, but you hope you have enough of them, and that's, you never really know till you watch it.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no doubt about it. I don't know. I feel like Nebraska will kind of, they'll kind of attack this thing tomorrow. I think that's sort of the hope. Have you Have you felt that it's been a wise plan from Matt Rule to seemingly, put a lot of their chips on the fact that they're gonna win one of the next two games and get to a bowl game? Like it's not only that they talk about it in the sense of like, hey, we're gonna have these bowl practices, but Rule has been pretty adamant. We need to get to a bowl game. It needs to happen. How have you felt about their approach of that? I mean, it's true, but you didn't have to kind of characterize it that way, I guess.
Oh no, I think that's the way you got to do it. It's just like when John Cook, when Nebraska's playing a Final Four that's going to be in Omaha, he starts the season by saying we got to make it to Omaha. You don't shy from the conversation, and you don't shy from this conversation. It's reality. I mean, just meet it head on. I think that's the way to do it. Don't act like there's not a lot of pressure, because there is. Just talk about it like it's real, and it is real. So no, I think that's the way to do it.
What happens if they don't then? What happens if they don't win one of these next two games?
Well, I think that competitors at that level don't think that way. Rule didn't get 3 head coaching jobs by always sitting around wondering what this doesn't happen or that doesn't happen. You go make it happen, and he's the leader, and it's his job to make it happen. So he's gonna, you hear it all the time. It's sort of a new agey phrase, speak it into existence. That's sort of what we're talking about. What I'm more talking about is why dodge the conversation? It is what everybody's talking about. So the kids know. So I think the approach is right. I don't know. I know there's a lot of pressure, but I think it's good. I think there should be. Everybody's making money over there now. There can be pressure. There's pressure on everybody.
Yeah, I'm with you. I haven't minded the way that they've approached it either. It's just, I don't know. I view it as sort of a gamble, right? Because you're setting the expectation. You're saying, hey, look, we got to win. We got to win one of these next two games. And he's right. They have to win one of the next two games.
Yeah.
But then you ask the question of like, well, okay, what happens if you don't? Then did you fail? And stuff like that.
I get it, but I mean, the expectation's really low.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. Everybody knows the ramifications. The key, I think, is just how bad do they want it? Do these? The most interesting part of these conversations to me over the years have been. There's no doubt in my mind that, like, the fan base wants this bad. Large part of the preponderance of the fan base wants this badly. Come on, you got to get this done. Get this, end this sort of embarrassment. I think we assume that it's like that throughout the locker room, but I don't. Sometimes you wonder.
Yep.
So I never treat those as the same conversation. To me, they're much different conversations. I know how badly the fan base wants this. I just hope in that locker room they want it just as bad. I think they do. I think most of them do. But you're right. The season gets long, and I've been covering it long enough to have heard several football coaches tell me when you're not winning in football, it's not fun. You kind of want it to be over. In football, the fun is the reward of winning, doing something that other people can't do, but also the reward of winning. When you're not winning, there's not much about football that's fun, especially this time of year.
Sipple, how do you feel like the players, the offensive players, and the offensive staff have adjusted to Dana Holgorsen after a couple weeks on the job now?
I can't say that. That's a great question, and it's just hard to say for sure, except for what the leader says. Rule. It seems like he always uses the word seamlessly. It looked fine in Los Angeles.
I thought so too.
Yeah, the operation looked fine. Holgorsen, he's interesting because he's not touchy-feely. So he's going to be very demanding, and I just have to think that the players, most players, Happer, wouldn't you agree? I think most players like that. I think they want to be pushed at this level.
Definitely.
The quarterback surely likes it. I know that. So it starts there. And again, I love Saturdays because that's when you find out. And I thought what we saw Saturday was pretty good. Pretty good. But there's a lot, there's some plays there where you're just disappointed in sort of effort level a few times. Just kind of, you got out schemed a little bit on, if you're, Tony White talked about it. So it feels like we have these conversations every week and they're sort of disappointing.
What do you think? I asked this question to BC earlier too. What do you think a step forward looks like for that unit this week? Because I agree with you. I could see kind of the early growings of what they're attempting to do on offense. Like I like the step they took last week, but you go from week 1 to week 2 or game 1 to game 2 under Dana Holgorsen. What do you think another step forward looks like?
Oh, big plays down the field, both the running game and passing game. Against USC, Nebraska had 2 completions over 10 yards. I mean, Dylan was 25 for 27 on throws of 10 yards or fewer. Throws that went 10 yards or fewer. I mean, come on. You're just it's hard. It's hard to kind of inch your way down the field. So they had one pass that traveled over 24 yards and another pass that traveled over 10, and that was it. And in the run game, we've talked about it all year, right? It looks like on a few occasions they might pop one, but the running back doesn't beat the safety or gets tripped up by a linebacker, whoever it may be. And then it's really hard, right? I mean, wouldn't it be nice if Nebraska got like the scoring pass at USC, got to Deuce Robinson, like a long scoring pass? That makes it so much easier. But with Nebraska, everything is hard. Yeah. They get to the 10 or if like a first and goal at the 9, and you just don't even know what's going to happen. So it's that's kind of the nature of the beast right now. And that's frankly why you bring in Holgorsen. But man, the defense, after the game, one of my thoughts, Happer, was who's more to blame in this game, the offense or the defense? Now, it was the offense. That's the answer.
Only scored 13 points.
Right. But it's not it's not a resounding yes. It's the offense.
Yeah, I thought the defense was like generally good, but they had so many opportunities to make more plays than they did and didn't do it. That's
right. It's this kind of the same old story there where they just don't get off the field enough.
Yeah.
They don't shut it down. You're and that's what, if you're asking me what you're looking for progress on that side, it's really easy. You have to, like the first series, Happer, think about how Wisconsin can set the tone without scoring. If they get 3 first downs and punt from the 45, they've won. They got a big victory there because now you're playing their game. They're gonna punt it down inside the 10, and you're gonna be starting. Nebraska's gonna be starting off in the hole, and that's where Wisconsin gets you. And then you sort of pay the bill in the fourth quarter sometimes.
Sipple, you making your way up to Omaha for hoops tonight?
You know what? This is kind of a weak answer, but I write the game, or I got to write a quick gamer for Robin, so Robin can kind of do his thing. Robin will watch it, and I just decide I don't have to go up there for that. I don't think we sit down on the floor anymore.
That's true.
I can kind of do it easier, actually, from my house. So that's what I'm going to do.
Okay. Well, so you'll have a keen interest in the basketball game, though.
Oh God, yeah. I'm keen is a good word. Yes.
All right. Have fun watching. We will talk to you next week.
All right, Connor. Thank you for having me.
That's Steve Sipple of HuskerOnline.com. Robin Wash it.
Probably won't talk to him next week.
Well, do we have a show on Black Friday?
I didn't schedule one.
Oh.
I guess
get that straightened out.
I guess it is a night game. It's not normally. I just kind of assume. Yeah, we should talk about that.
So are we off?
I don't know.
You're the boss, Josh. You're the boss? Question
See,
mark?
Here's the thing.
Let's call Nick. Nick's the boss.
There isn't like a list, an easily accessible list of corporate holidays. You'd think it'd be on our website, like our internal website.
Oh, you're blaming that.
It would make my job easier.
Yeah.
Also, communication.
All right. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see if we're with Sipple next Friday.
Do you want to?
Do I want to do a show? I know I'll be doing Big Red Overreaction already.
Yes.
So I don't feel like it's probably necessary.
I think I'll be eating with
I
my
think we
family.
could do a Wednesday. We could do a Wednesday Friday show next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
From Vegas. See, that's what's throwing this whole thing off. I have no idea what's what. Is up, down, is down, up. I have no idea. Jeff says,
hi, Jeff.
I'll let you guys take Black Friday off.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Jeff.
Jeff. Sounds like we're off on Black Friday.
Oh, Jeff said we could have the day off.
Except for Big Red Overreaction, which will still happen. And Big Red Overreaction will happen tomorrow with Josh Peterson and myself from Cross Strain Brewing. I'm going to drink a Cross Strain beer.
I get so thirsty during those shows. I need something to
glug, 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 glug.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be drinking a Cross Strain beer at about, probably a little before Big Red Overreaction, maybe a little during Big Red Overreaction. Maybe I stay after, and there's a little after Big Red Overreaction.
You're getting on a plane the next morning. What do you care?
I can take a nap. All right, we'll be back right at the hour. Coming up, Keys and Peas at the top of the hour on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. I do want to remind you all that Sebastian Maniscalco is coming to Omaha on Thursday, December 12th, CHI Health Center. And we have tickets. You can get entered to win those tickets online on our website, 1620thezone.com.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Appreciate all the supporters out there who have sent us words of encouragement for taking Black Friday off. A thing that I think we have. Unless you're hosting Big Red Overreaction, which I am. And it turns out I alone am hosting Big Red Overreaction at this point.
You want to hold that martyr baton?
I know. It's not a martyr baton situation.
I offer.
I'm on the schedule. That's where it is. I'm on the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't say anybody else. What? I'm not going to,
I offered to help.
You did. You offered to help. I might still call you.
I'll even drive. Sounds like a terrible idea, but I would do.
That.
I would do it.
But John emails in. He says, I'm off on Black Friday. I plan to eat big breakfast, get day drunk, take a nap, and then watch the game. You guys should do the same.
Let's go to John's house.
The game is at nighttime.
It is. Ugh. Remember, it's going to be really cold. Remember?
You'll see that in a video next week.
You will.
Jake says, well, I talked to your guys' bosses, and they said you both could take this Sunday off. That's great.
Excellent.
Actually, we'll be mildly on the company dime this Sunday.
I'm always
flying across the country. Yeah, that's true. You're never really off, are you? Never really off. Here's a tweet that I think can take up a conversation for 5 to 10 minutes on this show.
Okay, love that.
This is from Leshun.
Hi, Leshun.
Leshun
photoshopped a picture of me, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, the Josh for Mayor thing?
Yes.
I gotta find that. I don't know why that happened, but I like it.
Announcement coming soon.
I also don't know whose body that is.
That's mine.
All right. Well, you need to work on elongating your neck.
You want a nice thick neck.
you and the Costco guy's dad. Boom. All right. Leshun has a tweet for us.
Hi, Leshun.
Idaho and Idaho State play this week for the Potato State Trophy. Which Nebraskan delicacy should embody the I-80 rivalry, and a runza is not an option? They can't play for the big runza. So what is it? It has to embody both the state and I would prefer it to embody parts of both of the fan bases as well.
Okay.
Because they look and feel a little bit different. Or at least that's a stereotype, right? Creighton fans, they like
sweater vests,
blue cheese crumbles, and the Lexus Club. Nebraska fans, I don't know what they do at basketball games.
Ranch and overalls.
Yeah, little red, or Herbie, the actual embodiment of Herbie Husker. So what is it? What's the food item that this game should be for? And then all, whoever wins, they go up to the student section and they start chomping on a what?
Bottle of Dorothy Lynch, right?
I mean, you could obviously go corn.
Sure.
You just rip a corn off a stalk and just start chomping away. You could do that. But it doesn't have the same vibe when the game takes place in the winter and, the corn's not there anymore. The corn have been turned into cattle fields.
What about a Reuben? Like a bronzed Reuben trophy.
Does Lincoln stake claim to the Reuben? Because this is like an Omaha. This is like an Omaha Lincoln thing.
Sure.
I don't know. I guess we could shout out to our guys at Round the Bend Steakhouse off of exit. What is it? 420 out there in Ashland.
Yeah.
Eat some bull testicles. The battle for the nuts.
That would be a trophy that would garner a lot of media attention.
Am I onto something? You bronze.
Maybe.
You bronze some bull nuts. That's the trophy, or maybe the trophy is just a bronzed bull with oversized testicles. and you play for that.
Put some truck nuts on that bowl.
Or do you want to play for the actual food item known as, what do they call this? Rocky Mountain oysters.
Well, you don't want to. No. You need a trophy. You need a nice bronze trophy.
It's straight in the middle. It's straight in the middle. No, basketball games don't do trophy games. They do like weird bits mostly, you know? It's like there's a trophy game in basketball. That's mostly in football. They have a big trophy. True. So, I don't know. Think about it. Think about it.
I'm looking at food items invented in Nebraska. Swanson TV dinners, Kool-Aid, obviously. Raisin Bran. I didn't know that.
Raisin Bran.
Eskimo pies.
What's that? That sounds bad.
It's like an ice cream sandwich.
Really?
It's created by Russell Stover.
Okay. They could play for a big, a giant car wash. We do live in the land of many car washes.
We do.
They should put on our license plates, the land of 10,000 car washes. Not the land of 10,000 lakes, the land of 10,000 car washes.
See if it gains any traction.
Car washes, as far as the eye can see. The land of 10,000 car washes.
There really are.
Jeff says he likes it on the bronze nuts.
Okay. I think that's the best idea we've come up with thus far.
Crecky says you're on something, but I don't know about on to something. Just on something.
Okay. Oh, like drugs? You're on drugs?
Yep. Husked 97 says play for a dumbass tree. What's that supposed to mean?
Arbor Day.
Oh, yeah. We do like trees here, I guess. Sam Oha says the Reuben. And then Sindelar had a take about Drake's coach, which not topical, but interesting.
That boy balling.
He brought a whole bunch of dudes from Northwest Missouri State, and now they're wrecking dudes at Drake. This is awesome.
Beat Miami and Florida Atlantic.
Sindelar says, I just looked at Ben McCollum's Wikipedia page. It's very impressive. If he has continued success for 3 years at Drake, could he be Mac's successor?
Whoa.
Or a replacement for Fred? Or will he replace Fran McCaffrey in Iowa City? Ben McCollum from Iowa City. Is your next coach finally showing up Iowa? Maybe.
Something to think about.
I think Lashun likes the big bronze bull nuts. So I think we've probably found an answer to that question.
I don't know if we're going to top that.
Andrew says chili with cinnamon rolls. See, I got to be honest with you on the chili with cinnamon rolls thing. I think that's a Western Nebraska thing.
That's gross.
I never heard of that my entire life until like around the time I started to go to Nebraska or be around people from other portions of the state. But even my family in central Nebraska and Hastings, I don't even it's not like they were talking about it all the time. Like, hey, this chili, the cinnamon roll chili. Like I never really knew about it until a way later portion of my life. Maybe I got Oma-domed.
Ooh.
But I think I don't know. I was shielded from this for my entire life. I didn't really know about the chili cinnamon rolls thing. So I don't think it's definitely one of the things that the state of Nebraska identifies with, but it's definitely not one of the things that the city of Omaha identifies with.
If it weren't for Runza, I don't think I would know that this is a thing.
Does Omaha as a city identify with chili and cinnamon rolls? Like how this is for my Omahans and Omahans only. All you Husker, Western Nebraska folk, you don't get to answer this question. How do you feel? Omahans, hit me up. If you're listening to this in Dundee right now, how do you feel about chili and cinnamon rolls?
They serve it at lunch in schools now.
Yeah, that's what John says. He says he used to get it at school lunch in Lincoln. Been around forever, more Lincoln than Omaha. I went to OPS schools all but like 2 years of my schooling life. I don't think we ever had chili and cinnamon rolls as a lunch.
I don't think I did, but we're a couple of old heads, apparently.
Oh, we are. We are. It's been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a long time.
Shouldn't have left you.
Text from the 402, chili and cinnamon rolls is awesome. Don't knock it till you try it. No, I actually like it. I'm not saying that I don't like it. I just don't identify with it.
Nah,
you know what I mean? That's a different, like, so you can't make it the trophy if I don't identify with it.
Omahans would not want that trophy.
You just got a text from an Omahan friend who went to my high school and then ended up going to Nebraska. He said, never in my life before college had I thought of chili and cinnamon rolls.
Oh, wow.
Omaha got isolated from this thing, and I'm okay with that. Jeff says he grew up in Lincoln and it was a weekly school lunch item. It was not that way in Omaha.
Give me that beef
Interesting.
cutlet.
So maybe that is a good represent. Like I don't know, but Lincoln would want the chili and cinnamon rolls more. If Creighton won, it'd be like, what do we do with this? Chili, cinnamon rolls? We dip it?
Do we put them together?
That's really weird. I'm going with the bull nuts. That's my final answer.
Yeah.
All right, we're coming back 1 o'clock hour. It is our keys to the game, Nebraska and Wisconsin. We could throw out some keys for Creighton and Nebraska too if we have some time. Of course,
we'll have enough time.
Of course, it is rivalry day, and our picks for the weekend all coming up in the 1 o'clock hour of the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. Well, there's 2 weeks left of the college football season. I guess unless you're Army and Navy.
Yeah. Or like a really good team.
And we are deep into the NFL season now. And last night, a tradition unlike any other. You don't know which day it's going to happen, but you know that it will.
It's a different day every year.
Our very first snow game. Wasn't that fun last night?
Yeah.
I have no idea. So, what was it? George Pickens after the game, after what? Nearly fighting that guy in the stands. He was like, yeah, I don't think the Browns are very good. They just got lucky that it snowed and then they beat us. I'm like, all right. Well, they did though. And now you have to hear Jameis Winston stuff all for a long time. Kevin Stefanski, pretty good at beating the Steelers. Not very good, but pretty good at beating the Steelers.
Yeah, that's part of winning that division. You're going to have to beat the Steelers.
What a fun time watching that football game last night. I very, very much enjoyed it, even though I couldn't see anything. It was awesome.
It was fascinating. So satisfying.
A lot of fun. By the way, one more thing before we get to our keys here from Senator John Thune Sucks. That's Senate Majority Leader John Thune Sucks.
That's right. Put some respect on that name.
It says my lunch ladies in 1980 in kindergarten showed me how to clean out the bowl with the cinnamon roll. It wasn't new. My grandma did the same thing. Then it progressed into dipping the roll into the chili and eating it. Ralston Public Schools lunch ladies are the bomb. Poll question?
Okay.
Are Ralston Public Schools lunch ladies the bomb?
All public school lunch ladies are the bomb,
No,
but
specifically asked about Ralston though.
Are Ralston Public School?
I always like the lunch ladies too.
Oh, I was told at a very young age, you be nice to them, you be kind to them, and they'll open up a whole new world to you.
Hey,
and it was always, you take that extra milk, honey, it's fine.
Yeah. How early or late was it for you when you found out that you could get double lunch? That was a revelation for me.
I'll bet it was
an absolute
probably
revelation.
6th grade, maybe 5th.
Yeah, it was late in elementary school. I'm like, excuse me? Some kid showed up with like 4 mozzarella sticks instead of 2, and I'm like, whoa, what happened? They're like, you could just tell them, and they'll give it to you. You have to pay more.
You got to pay for it.
Yeah, but it's costs $1.
They'll give you 2 beef cutlets and 2 tea rolls.
Beautiful. I needed it. Yeah, I needed it. That's for sure. A growing boy. All right, our keys to Nebraska and Wisconsin. Saturday in Lincoln. Nebraska has not won a game in this series since September of 2012.
Damn it, Connor, we know.
12. It's been 10 straight losses, each of which have been horrendous in their own right. But asked the question this week, how many times do you think you've picked Nebraska, or you would have picked Nebraska to win during this 10-game losing streak? And my answer would probably be 7 to 8, possibly 9.
That's right.
Yep. I do remember one game where I was like, I don't really like Nebraska. And it was Frost's first game, I think. They competed pretty well. That team was pretty good that year. And I was like, I just don't really see it for Nebraska. That's one where I was like, not going to happen today. All the other ones, I think you got it. And then they did not have it. 2017 was a tough one too. But like we discussed with BC earlier, they were tied in that game, thanks to an Aaron Williams pick 6. But then the soul crusher drive happened after that.
It always gets you.
Our keys to the game. Key number 1 for me: empty the tank. This is sort of an all-around key, but this is an all hands on deck game, Josh. Like I hate, Sipple and I were talking about this before. There's a certain pressure that comes along with this, because if you empty the tank and if you empty the tank rather and you lose, then it puts you in a really bad position for next week.
The tank's empty.
The tank is empty. You're on short rest, and there's no more tricks in the bag. But I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about personnel, play whoever helps you win the game. Dana Holgorsen, whatever Dana Holgorsen might have in his bag of tricks, whatever he thinks could work. Tony White, dial that thing up. Dial that thing up, man. We're talking blitzes from everywhere, stopping the run, aggressive defense, downhill defense, bring pressure, gamble a little bit, play downhill, fake field goals, fake punts, Heinrich Harburg stuff, Ja'Cory Barney passes. Whatever you have in the gun, shoot it. I want to see, what does Jim Harbaugh say? I want to play with the joy unlike any joy we've seen in mankind or something like that.
Something like that.
I want to see an aggression unlike any aggression I ever seen by mankind. I want Nebraska to play with their hair on fire. And I want to visibly be able to see this. I need people's heads on fire. And you know what that includes as well? It includes the fans. It's been a little doom and gloom around here for a long time.
A lot of sad sacks.
I think Nebraska's seniors, Nebraska's players, they're going to need a little help getting to that place. I want this game to feel like the Colorado game. Like, I think, remember the desperation we went into that game with? Oh my God, Nebraska needs to beat Colorado. Otherwise,
season right here.
My life is over.
Gosh, think where we'd be if they hadn't have beaten Colorado.
Bad place, right?
Bad.
I want to see, hear, and feel that desperation on Saturday. You say you're desperate. Show me, right? Play with an aggression unseen by the human eye.
You got to give me something to cheer about. I don't know. Maybe you just cheer.
But like, it's not like, we're going to go to the game and clap our hands and cheer. So I'm like, no, I want it. I want it nasty.
Nasty.
I want it nasty in there. Push them over the edge. I think that's a key to the game for me. I think there's a chance you get that, but obviously you're not going to get everybody to buy in until it happens. I do think a good start is important. As BC and I talked about a little bit earlier as well. Recently historic is key number 2. I have a statistic.
Now there's a segment.
Wouldn't last that long. Nebraska has played Wisconsin 12 times since the two schools have been in the Big Ten together. Nebraska has won, of course, just once. In those games, Wisconsin has run for 3,463 yards against Nebraska.
Sounds like a lot.
3,463 yards. Nebraska's won one of those games. 3,463 yards is equivalent to nearly 2 miles. 2 miles. And that's just of rushing yards against Nebraska over 12 meetings. That is an average of 288.6 rushing yards per game Wisconsin has racked up against Nebraska. This year, Wisconsin is averaging 169 rush yards per game. That is 57th nationally. That is 6th in the Big Ten. It's a middling rush offense. So here's what I want. Here's the key. I need Nebraska to keep Wisconsin over under 130 yards. That's my magic number.
Okay.
Under 130 yards rushing. Wisconsin has been held to at or under 130 yards rushing in 4 games this season. Penn State, Oregon, Iowa, and USC. 3 of those are their last 3 games. It's an offense that does not come in with any sort of confidence. They've fired their offensive coordinator. Don't let them do the thing you know they're going to want to do. You know they're going to want to come in here and say, back to our roots, back to normal. We're going to steamroll Nebraska, and that's how we're going to do it. We're going to run.
Hand the ball off. Do what UCLA did. 13 play, 9-yard drive.
Nebraska needs to break the trend and hold them under that mark this year. They have done that just once in the 12 times that they've met in this series. That was, of course, Nebraska's 1 win. There's a correlation. Not that they're a totally prolific passing offense. They're not either. And obviously they're a little bit different than they have been in the past. But there's a correlation. If you don't allow them to run the ball, they don't win. And so they're going to keep going back to it. Nebraska's got to be stout in run defense. Keep them under 130 yards rushing. Be the 5th team that's done that this year. But if you're flabbergasted by the stat, then that was kind of the point of the exercise.
I was.
Almost 3,500 yards, Josh. Would you like to hear the rushing totals game by game for Wisconsin against Nebraska in 12 meetings?
Feels like it would be very painful, but I think you're going to.
We'll start at 2011. We'll go back. We'll go up till last year. 231, 56. That was Nebraska's win.
Hey.
539, 581, 147, 223, 353, 370, 320, 252, 235, and last year 156. You could deal with it in the hundreds.
Yeah. 150 doesn't sound so bad.
150 doesn't sound so bad. Multiple 500 plus yard rushing games, multiple 300 plus yard rushing games, and just 3 times in the 12 meetings where Nebraska's kept them under 200 rushing yards, which is still a big number.
That's right.
Stop the run. That's the key. Key number 3, finish the drive. If Nebraska gets it to the 40-yard line, you have to get points. And this is where key number 1 comes back into play a little bit. Like, pull out all the stops. I don't care what you do. You know, for those of you who desperately need to see Heinrich Haarberg play football, awesome. Put Heinrich Haarberg in the game and have him run power. Whatever you have to do to get points. Nebraska has to score once they get to the 40-yard line, once they get into the red zone. Nebraska still is one of the top 20 offenses in the country at getting itself opportunities at scoring, the Eckel. They are one of the bottom 20 offenses in the country at actually scoring when they get those. You got to flip that. Conversely, Wisconsin does not get itself many opportunities. Wisconsin's Eckel, 108th in the country, 37%. They don't give themselves that many opportunities. But give them credit for the few opportunities they get. They do a pretty decent job at scoring, but they just don't get enough. They have a higher points per Eckel than Nebraska does, even though Nebraska is way better at getting to the Eckel range than Wisconsin is. It's won and lost right there. There's going to be fewer drives in this game. It'll be a little slower. It'll be a Big Ten West game.
Definitely.
So you have to take advantage of your opportunities. And yeah, what the coaches have been saying all week. It comes down to making a play or two, man. Make a play. Malcolm Hartzog, if you got a pick in the end zone, pick it. You know? Be in the right coverage, all that stuff.
We're in a cover two, be in a cover two.
All that stuff. But Nebraska has opportunities to intercept passes, to to pick up fumbles if they're on the ground, to block field goals, to not commit penalty. Take advantage of your opportunity.
A little tighter, a little crisper.
Finishing is the third and final key.
Finish him.
Any thoughts on Creighton, Nebraska before we get to our picks? Some keys, some thoughts from you, Josh, or any thoughts on Wisconsin, Nebraska?
Skurs are going to have to shoot an ungodly amount of threes.
You think so?
And they're going to have to shoot well from three.
Well, they'll have to make them.
Yeah.
It has not been pretty from 3-point land so far this year. So they're people who take their most 3-pointers are Connor Essegian, Bryce Williams, and Jawan Gary. Those 3 together are 14 of 36. Elsewhere, Aaron Eulis is 0 for 6. Riley Worcester's 3 for 8. Andrew Morgan's 1 for 2 and 3-pointers. Berke is 1 of 7. Gavin Griffiths is 3 of 12. Just got to get heated up a little bit. That is a key. I just, like I said, people are wondering about the presence of Kalkbrenner. I mean, I just think he means so much to what Creighton does on the defensive side of the ball. And Nebraska gets their points from close to the basket because they haven't been scoring beyond the 3-point line so far this year. And you know how Fred Hoiberg feels about taking tough dues, taking twos that aren't layups at all. He feels very badly about it. So Nebraska's primary water hose of scoring points is going to be turned way, way down, if not off, tonight with the presence of Brian Kalkbrenner. So, yeah, they'll have to make threes. They'll have to make threes. They'll have to make plays.
In bunches.
And they got to get back in transition, and they got to rebound.
Hard to do against the tree man, who
he's not. I mean,
who hasn't missed a shot all year or something like that.
I think he's missed 5 or 6. Okay. Yeah, he's but like rebounding is not where he excels, right? Because he's usually affecting shots, and so Creighton will usually have to rebound on the on the help side, on the back side of that. So Creighton will have to rebound a little bit better if they want to really get into their transition and things that they're doing as well. But I do like Creighton in this game. We will pick it coming up here in our pick segment, which is coming up next on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. right, don't forget coverage of Creighton basketball against Nebraska. X2 starting at 3:45 this afternoon. We'll have an abbreviated version of Unsportsmanlike Conduct coming up right after this. Can't wait to bring you all the basketball. We are proud here at 1620 The Zone to bring you all of the basketball today. Very proud. I know Josh has been looking forward to this one for a long time. And, of course, everybody at Creighton looks forward to the Nebraska game every year.
Yeah, big thanks to On the Line and College of St. Mary's for helping us put on Rivalry Day for you all this afternoon and this evening.
All right, Josh, before we make picks, got to go through the carnage of last week.
Oh, what carnage? We're great at picking
I
teams.
am not alone in this, Josh. Over the last 2 weeks, Connor Happer, have one win against the spread in
each of the last 2
11 opportunities. Total win and 11 opportunities. I am 1-10 ATS over the last 10 weeks. We are on a cold streak.
Fade Connor.
Josh Odson has acquired 3 wins. Put your hands down. That's
3
embarrassing.
times as many as you.
3-7 or whatever it is, 3-8. Not good either. You got a win last week. I got none. Swept across the board.
That's a dub.
It is. You currently lead me in picks by 1 game.
He's gone 1 and whatever the last 2 weeks, and I only lead by a game.
You have not made up a whole lot of ground there, but you still lead by 1 game as we head into Mega Picks Week, Josh.
Mega Picks Week?
Not Mega Hell. Mega Picks Week.
Even the picks are a part of Feast Week because there's more of them. We're gorging on picks.
That's right. 7 of them. And we begin at the world famous Horseshoe in Columbus, Ohio.
Who's doing the game?
Number 5, Indiana. At number 2, the world famous Ohio State Buckeyes. Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt, and the All-American girl, Jenny Tan. 11 a.m. Fox. This is our narrative game of the year. This is awesome. I love this game. I'm so excited to watch it tomorrow morning. Who do you got?
This is the moment for Indiana. They've had it circled for many, many months. This is when we can finally prove it. Ohio State is broken on the lines in the trenches. They will still win by more than 10.5 because Indiana is a little bit garbo.
A little bit garbo. Josh. My hate for Indiana is documented.
That's true.
I hate the conversation surrounding him. I hate that we have to talk about the Signetti guy every day.
Google him.
I hate that he says stuff like that. I hate his accent. I'm not a fan of any of this. I like Indiana to cover.
Whoa!
To cover. All right? To cover.
That's a win for
I'm not
them.
saying anything. I'm going to say to cover. And honestly, I hope they cover. Just so the conversation doesn't get so toxic.
Oh, it's going to be bad if they don't.
If they get housed,
they should be in the
and we're
playoffs.
going to start comparing them to 3-loss SEC teams, that is going to make me want to absolutely jump out of this window.
Ole Miss versus Indiana, who deserves it more?
Horrible storyline.
Get your talking points ready.
Indiana covers the 10.5 tomorrow. Gus is going to let out a so whenever somebody gets loose, there are going to be people getting loose tomorrow. Whoa! Whenever somebody gets out in the open, whoa! Wait for Gus Johnson's whoa tomorrow. All right?
He's going to be extra
when you hear
amped.
it, I want to get a bunch of tweets from people. Whoa! Curtis Rourke! Go!
Connor, I think that was the one.
Whoa! All right.
He's roarking it.
We're on opposite sides. Number 14, BYU is at number 21, Arizona State, who's a 3.5-point favorite, 2:30 on ESPN. Not called by Gus Johnson, Joe Klatt, and the All-American girl, Jenny Teff. I'm picking.
Yeah, that's right. That's how this works.
Guys, I mean, I like BYU. I love what they've done this year. It's been a good year for them. They've been living on the edge. They've been winning games by like 1 point.
Great story
for a long time. It's awesome. But what Arizona State has done has been better. And I'm gonna take the Sun Devils. Watch out for them Devil now to cover the 3.5 tomorrow afternoon in the desert.
It's in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
You hand the ball to Cam Scatterbo, and you get the hell out of the way. Sun Devils.
Scatterbo.
I don't care.
Sam Levitt, you slinging that thing?
Sun Devils -3.5.
Yeah, let's do it. Big 12, no idea what's going to happen. We'll do the tiebreaker scenario next week. We'll have another Big 12 game in this picks list, but let's head to Yankee Stadium.
Baseball.
Where the Yankees host the Kansas City Royals in Game 3 of the American League Division. Oh, no.
Juan Soto revenge game, as he's definitely going to be a Royal next year.
They've checked in.
They were quickly asked, how did you get this number?
They checked in. Number 19, Army, against number 6, Notre Dame, who's a 14.5-point favorite tomorrow, 6 o'clock on NBC from the Bronx.
Well, Connor, any great pick segment will have a theme, and the theme this week is
troops.
All great stories are going to die this weekend. Indiana, dead. BYU, dead. Army, very nice. Thank you for your service. You're going to get rolled. Irish, -14.5.
I wonder what that means for our next game that we're going to pick here. Yeah, I'm going to take Notre Dame as well. They smashed Navy, so they're going to smash Army.
That's right. Notre Dame doesn't care about the troops.
Navy turned the ball over a couple times early, and just once you do that, you're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Army can hang
if they don't turn the ball over.
Yeah, they're going to have to not turn the ball over though. But give me Notre Dame. Our next game, Josh. Another story. Number 16, Colorado is a 2.5-point favorite at Kansas at Arrowhead Stadium at Jihad Field at Arrowhead Stadium. 2:30, Big Fox. Tomorrow afternoon, Colorado controls its own destiny for the Big 12 championship game and thus the college football playoff. But Kansas is hot. And I'm rocking and chalking. +2.5. KU! Rock Chalk Jayhawk KU! Rock Chalk Jayhawk KU! Rock Chalk Jayhawk KU! Me and the KU fans are going to be partying next week in Vegas. Woo!
Connor, I'm going to ask a question here.
You're going to ask why? Why would you do this?
No, actually, I'm not. Because, I mean, you don't ask an insane person why he does what he does. +2.5. Are you saying they will win outright? I mean, that's pretty close.
I think they're going to win.
Yeah.
I think Kansas is going to win.
Okay. Boy, where has that Kansas been?
Great question.
All year.
Great question.
I know they've had some injuries.
They're going to have it's going to be a shootout, but KU can keep up. Their offense is kind of back.
Colorado talked a lot of talk. There was a Zoom call where Travis and Shadeur said many, many things. They better win on Saturday. And I think they will.
Oh, I thought you were shutting down the big stories.
Oh, the big story is Kansas on getting off of life support.
Give me a break. 3 more games to pick still.
Oh, my goodness.
Tonight,
games
at CHI Health Center, Omaha.
I've been there.
The Nebraska basketball Cornhuskers are at the number 14 Creighton Blue Jays, who are a 10.5-point favorite, 7 p.m. FS1.
1620 the zone, 101.9 the keg.
Those as well. Your choice, Josh.
Oh, look, this is stupid that we're doing this.
We gotta go fast because we gotta get to your hype video.
Creighton, 10.5. Easy.
Creighton, 10.5. Creighton, 83. Nebraska, 68.
Okay.
That is a square 15 for the record.
You were talking all week. You were like, I think Nebraska. Yeah, I
think it'll be close. It'll be close. The final score is
that close?
15. Okay. 15. Okay. It's kind of been a magic number in this series.
Oh.
I just don't think Nebraska has enough offense.
They do not.
That's kind of the story.
Both teams will wish they had played later because they have no idea what they are right now.
We rewind. 2.5 hours from now at DJ Sokol Arena, number 21 Nebraska at Creighton, who is, according to ESPN Bet, a 3.5-point favorite on Flow Sports and 1620 The Zone.
That's right.
I'll take Nebraska. I'll take Nebraska to cover and win. I'm not convinced that Nebraska will win this game on the women's side we're talking about. But if you're giving me 3.5 points, I'll take it.
Small sample size, but I've been a little unimpressed isn't the right word, but I thought Creighton would be better.
Underwhelmed?
Yeah, underwhelmed. So give me Nebraska plus 3.5 here.
All right. And we finish in Lincoln tomorrow. Wisconsin Badgers 5-5 against the Nebraska Cornhuskers 5-5. The Huskers are 1.5 point favorites, 2:30 on the BTN. Josh, let's hear it, my friend.
A lot of talk this week about two things: streaks and bulletin board material. Let's start with streaks. 10 straight losses to Bucky. That crappy mascot looks like the constipated neighbor in a Walt Disney cartoon who tells the other animals to keep it down because he's trying to sleep. You can probably rattle off a bunch of different streaks in your head, right? The Cubs' 107-year World Series drought. What? The Red Sox 86-year World Series drought. What? The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. What? Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hit streak.
Hasn't been broken.
What? Cal Ripken's Iron Man
Hasn't
streak.
been broken. What are you doing?
What do they all have in common? They ended.
No, they didn't. Yes, they did. DiMaggio's streak didn't get broken.
Tomorrow in Lincoln, on Senior Day, no less, you can be Nebraska's Theo Epstein. You can be Brock Lesnar. Careful, though. You can be Al Smith. You can be Cal Ripken Jr.
He still has the record.
Look that one up.
But the streak
Every streak has to end sometime. It's how you respond that matters. So many people bitching, moaning, complaining that Nebraska will never win another game this year. That's loser talk. You know who ain't talking like a loser? Dylan Raiola. He essentially guaranteed Nebraska will go to a bowl game.
But Josh, that'll give Wisconsin bulletin board material.
Good. Let those whiskey dicks cast their eyes upon greatness tomorrow. A little bit of smack talk is good for the soul. Boil that blood up a bit. MTV used to air a show every afternoon dedicated solely to your mama jokes.
Nice.
Nebraska football was better then. Hey, Wisconsin, your mama's so fat when she got on the scale it said, "I need your weight, not your phone number." Hey, Wisconsin, your mama's so fat she doesn't need the internet because she's already worldwide. Hey, Wisconsin, your mama's so fat she got baptized at SeaWorld. And tomorrow, there's gonna be a baptism by fire at Memorial Stadium. One more for the seniors. They've been through hell and back. They deserve the ultimate send-off. A bowl game. Nebraska 20, Wisconsin 12. Let's break the streak. And Bucky's heart.
Yeah, I hate that stupid Badger.
Badger sucks.
I like the string of yo mama jokes.
I know.
That's a good touch.
Well, we called Wisconsin mothers fat earlier this week.
Wisconsin fatties.
Nice little callback if you've been listening to every second
So
of the show.
So you're gonna get some clarification on the streaks here.
Yeah, those are all great streaks that you think of when you hear the word streaks. Yes.
They ended.
Those all ended.
They were not broken.
Right. Okay.
They were not
semantics.
Most of them were not broken.
Will Compton does not care about your semantics. I guarantee it. Also, do not try and emulate Brock Lesnar in life or in career.
Careful.
Yeah.
Careful with that one. 20-12.
20-12. Nebraska scores 3 touchdowns, misses an extra point. Wisconsin kicks 4 field goals.
I actually think there's going to be more points in this game than some are thinking. I'm going to take the Huskers to win by the final count of 27-21. That would be the over, 42.5. That'd be 48 for the record here. But Nebraska punches it in the end. I think what we're dealing with here is two teams that are in a bad way, and
Nebraska has the stability.
They do have the stability advantage and offensive coordinator. That's
longest
for sure.
reigning offensive coordinator.
Give me Nebraska to win. Go to the bowl game. I don't know how many times. I've said it 40 times over the last 2 years. It's absurd.
How many times this season have you said Nebraska's going to a bowl game?
A lot. Several weeks in a row, Josh. 6 weeks.
You said it before the season started.
The season, during the season, when they were 5-1. Back after this with the polls, we'll tell you what to watch on 1620 The Zone. All right, to the polls at Happer Show on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Had a poll question from yesterday's crossover.
It's important, maybe the most important one we've ever done.
The question was, is Thanksgiving known for feasting? 93% said yes.
Oh, wow.
Surprising.
Shocking, really.
Surprising results. 93% said yes. But all those people probably come from sports.
Definitely.
So, there's that. Is Connor Happer losing weight?
No, see, this puts me in a bad spot.
Connor Happer is not losing weight. You can feel free to say no.
I don't think you're gaining weight. I think you've plateaued.
I've plateaued. I'm stuck here.
Yes.
Wow. 56% say no. An astoundingly low number.
It was right on a T for the audience, and they did not take it.
They didn't take it. Thank you, guys. Very nice. Is The Internship a good movie? Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I'll go yes.
49% say yes. So 51% say no. So more people think The Internship is a good movie than think I'm losing weight.
Yeah, that's right. I hadn't thought of it like that.
Do you want a nice thick neck?
I do.
All right, weirdo. 52% say no. Interesting results today.
Very.
And finally, are the Ralston Public School lunch ladies the bomb?
All of them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
53% say yes. Each of the results are surprising.
Come on.
Except for the Thanksgiving
It's a
question.
layup.
Josh, those are the polls. What are we watching?
A lot of football to watch this weekend. Chiefs Panthers noon Sunday on CBS. Fox has the doubleheader on Sunday. We'll start with Vikings Bears, followed by Niners Packers. Sunday night football is Eagles Rams. You know when Sunday night football is. College football, Temple UTSA tonight, 6 o'clock ESPN2. Purdue Michigan State, 7 o'clock on Big Fox. No, thank you. Number 24, UNLV and San Jose State, 9 o'clock on FS1. College Game Day and Big Noon, both in Columbus for Indiana versus Ohio State. Guest picker on ESPN will be Steelers quarterback Justin Fields.
Oh.
Big Noon bringing in the Black Keys.
Okay.
I guess it's like SNL over there or something.
Nice.
College basketball. Nebraska at number 14 Creighton, 7 o'clock tonight on FS1 1620 and 1019 The Keg in beautiful FM.
That's a lot of places.
Number 13 Baylor versus number 11 Tennessee, 8:30 tonight on CBS Sports Network from the Bahamas. Both those teams average over 80 points a game so far this season, so there'll be a fun brand of basketball to watch. We got late hoops tonight. ESPN2 doubleheader starts at 9:30. Number 12 Duke at number 17 Arizona. That's a little spicy. And then number 10 North Carolina is at Hawaii for an 11:30 tip. No comments on an 11:30 tip?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's in Hawaii.
Yeah. Women's basketball.
It's like 2:30 in the afternoon.
Number 21 Nebraska at Creighton, 4 o'clock tip-off, 3:45 coverage begins here on 1620 The Zone. 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock tomorrow on NBC. Number 6 Notre Dame is at number 3 USC. Number 1 South Carolina at number 5 UCLA. 3 o'clock Sunday on FS1. Big weekend for Big Ten women's hoops. Volleyball, Nebraska, number 2 in the country. They host Wisconsin, who's number 6. 7 o'clock on BTN. NBA Cup action resumes tonight on ESPN. 6:30 tip between the Warriors and the Pelicans, followed by the Luca-less Mavericks and the Denver Nuggets.
Luca-less.
Luca-less.
Is that a disease? Is that like lupus?
He's got Luca-less. And finally on Netflix, The Piano Lesson. It is in 1936 Pittsburgh. A brother and sister argue over selling the family piano. Samuel L. Jackson stars along with Denzel Washington's son, John David Washington, and singer Erykah Badu. It is directed by one of Denzel's many children, Malcolm. Odd that Netflix would release this on the same day as Denzel Washington's new movie, Gladiator 2. Seems a little bit short-sighted on their part.
One text before we go.
Okay.
Here's from Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Tight camera shot of an old-time radio. As Josh's Wisconsin pump-up speech ends, the camera widens to see an old man smoking a pipe near a large fireplace. He turns down the radio. He looks at the camera and says, Nebraska went on to lose that game 20-17. Dylan Raiola transferred 2 weeks later. Then we realize the man has been narrating all along. Closing scene is a large leatherback book closing, and it says History of Husker Football on the cover. Fade to black.
Bravo.
That's the show. See you at the Chai tonight. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. The crossover is next.